Okay, recording has started.
Started?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, very good evening to all participants and the key speaker in this ninth session, means the fifth day of AICT sponsored ATAL FDP on AI powered urban futures, advancing sustainability in smart cities. Dr. Praveen Kamath is a structural and fire engineer with 10 plus years of dedicated involvement in industry related structural, fire engineering projects, and academic research in Australia, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and India. Praveen's interest encompasses structural fire design and engineering, performance based fire engineering, standard and non-standard full-scale fire tests and simulations, non-linear finite element analysis, structure performance under cascading hazards such as fire following earthquake and thermal properties of steel, concrete, and wood materials at ambient and elevated fire temperatures. Praveen holds PhD in structural engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. Prior to that, he completed his master's from South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, USA, and Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering from NIT Mysuru. After completing his PhD, Praveen worked as a postdoctoral fellow at the Institute of Infrastructure and Environment at the University of Edinburgh, UK, and the Department of Fire Protection Engineering at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, USA. As a researcher and postdoctoral fellow, Praveen has led multiple full-scale fire testing efforts in India, USA, and Japan. Praveen has delivered a number of conference presentations and has widely published his research in international peer-reviewed journals and conference proceedings in the field of structures and fire. Praveen is a member of Engineers Australia and an active member of the working group in technical committees such as Society of Fire Services Australia and ASCE, Fire Protection Committee USA. So he will deliver the topic on citizen-centric smart fire. Uh, okay. So mic is over to you, sir. Praveen, sir.
Prince,
Thanks.
welcome.
Welcome to.
Officially welcome.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Praveen, and I work as a fire engineer in Holmes, Australia, based in Sydney. Today, I would like to talk about the topic new trends in fire engineering and AI, and how AI can help shape the future of fire engineering. Throughout the presentation, I will talk a little bit in the beginning about fire engineering and mention about this field, which some of you may or may not have heard of or heard about the practice in the field.
Praveen sir, generally, this fire subject, it's not the regular subject in engineering.
Yes.
So, I would request you to treat the audience as Navy because
Yeah.
fire engineering is altogether a new stream.
Yes. Yeah. I have a few slides related to that, so don't worry about it. I will introduce you properly and then take you through the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thanks. Can you see my slide transition?
Yes, yes. You may
Okay,
proceed.
perfect. Perfect. Moving on to the introduction, artificial intelligence plays a key role in the fast-paced growing world. It eliminates the need to do routine, repetitive work and improve efficiency. The free time at hand can be put to more productive use or focus on more work, which means overall it improves the efficiency of your current work. Technology grows so fast that it outpaces the regulations and policies. Regulations and policies, as well as building codes and standards, get updated once in 5 years, once in 10 years, depends on which part of the world you're from. But technical advancements take less time, not leaving enough time for the legislation and policies to catch up. A classic example of building is where you'll be able to control all the services by phone in your hand, but then we will take a look at the benefits of the AI during the course of this presentation. AI has a huge potential to make the world more connected and safer, but safety of the system itself is a bit questionable when AI comes into picture. But ethical use of AI is a key success in implementation across the industries. A connected world means everything is digitally accessible and could be misused if cybersecurity is laxed. The issue can be resolved by making them more secure and using ethically for constructive purposes only. AI can be used to aid day-to-day work as well as support your decision making. It can be used in something as simple as performing repetitive calculations or informed decision making. It can also aid in understanding or making you understand the technical jargons and complicated regulations or their interpretation in a much simpler way. Because codes and standards cannot be very transparent sometimes. There is some ambiguity and a bit of interpretation connected to it. Most fields will benefit from AI, including the engineering field. You might have already noticed the takeover of digital systems in tech industry, but AI in the field of some core engineering fields is still in the experimental stage, and we have been trying and testing how we can improve the accuracy and performance in core engineering fields. AI in the field of fire engineering, which I'm going to introduce in the next few slides, is being experimented, but it's most widely and frequently used in academic research. A quick example is the use of drone technology in monitoring building movements during an earthquake or monitoring the spread of fire in wildland communities as well as built or developed environment. AI can also help achieving sustainability goals, which I will talk about towards the end of the presentation. And AI is here to stay, which means it's not a threat to jobs in certain core engineering field, but it can only improve accuracy and it can improve or efficiency of the tasks that you do in your day-to-day life. Why fire? Fire disasters can be natural or man-made. Fire affects both the natural and the built environments. Fires can occur in buildings where multiple sources of ignitions may be present. Fires can occur underneath the bridges due to vehicle collision or fire incidents involving combustible vehicles such as oil tankers and a tanker that's carrying some combustible goods such as lithium-ion batteries. Fires can occur in tunnels, again due to vehicle collision or involvement of truck carrying combustibles, at which point it threatens the structure of the tunnel itself. If the tunnel caves in, that means you have lost one of the important lifelines of transport, which is the tunnels, which are built to reduce the travel time, and it will affect the overall transportation network. Fires can occur in deep underground mines due to involvement of mining vehicles or gas explosions. Fires can also occur in forests, commonly known as wildland fires or bushfires in this part of the world. You might have seen recent forest fires in California that have been burning through and have caused some casualties around because it did not just stick to the forest, but it spread enough to threaten the built environment. And not only the property, but also it can spread through the built environment and cause widespread destructions. So what is fire engineering? Fire engineering is a specialized field that focuses on protection of life and property of fire and its consequences. Fire engineering involves performance-based engineering, risk assessment, fire safety upgrades, and forensics. I'll talk a bit more about performance-based engineering and prescriptive engineering in the coming slides. Fire engineering considers basic fire safety as required by legislation. Some legislations might require a building to have bare minimum goals to achieve fire safety or performance of the building. But there could be much more to it, or it may not be the best suited for every single building, which is where performance-based engineering comes into picture. The acceptance of performance-based solutions is required or as permitted by legislation, which may not be same in different parts of the country or in different parts of the same country as it's practiced in the United States, where one state has different requirements to its neighboring state. Something that could be that you can get across the line in one state cannot be easily got across the line in other states. Similar example is in earthquake engineering. Seismically active states have their own set of supplementary requirements to the building code than the states where there are no earthquakes, which needs to be kept separate for different reasons. A classic example of a building code permitting performance-based design is the Building Code of Australia. Other building codes also allow performance-based design, but it's not accepted due to lack of knowledge and lack of competence in the field. So how does this performance-based design work? So the building code normally sets performance requirements, which can be sorted using either a performance solution or a deemed to satisfy solution. Or a combination of both. Deemed to satisfy solution means if a code requires you to have a 250 millimeter by 250 millimeter column for a 60-minute fire resistance, I will touch upon the topic of fire resistance in the next few slides, but I'm just trying to fork out the difference between performance-based design and deemed to satisfy design. In deemed to satisfy design, you have to follow the code. There is no questions asked. It's as simple as that. But in performance solution, you need to assess that 250 by 250 column and then see if it actually achieves that fire performance or it's not really required to achieve that fire performance. In some cases, it may. In some cases, it may not. Because in some cases, it may be required to carry higher load, but in some cases, it may not be required to carry a higher load, which means you don't need that stocky or bulky column. Fire engineering is a multidisciplinary field. If you take a look at it, it's a combination of civil, structural, building, mechanical, chemical, and other minor engineering disciplines. Fire engineering is a course that is not generally taught in universities, but there are much more universities joining the bandwagon in offering courses and offering degrees in fire engineering. Across the globe, there are very few universities that offer a degree in fire engineering, out of which University of Maryland, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, Oklahoma State University, and University of California, Berkeley in USA, University of Edinburgh and University of Central Lancashire in UK, University of Queensland in Australia, and Carleton University in Canada, as well as Hong Kong Polytechnic University, which has a recent service offering in a degree in fire engineering. Some of these institutes have undergraduate in fire engineering, which nobody might have heard of, but they do have a proper engineering program that is a 4-year course, which has fire engineering degree awarded towards the end of the course. And it also has a practical internship requirement to gain some industry skills to be able to apply fire engineering in consulting world. Fire engineering courses encompasses fire science, which is the basic understanding of the fire. Fire is all about oxygen, fuel, and heat. This is called the fire triangle. Even if you take one of the components out of the equation, you can extinguish fire. So if there is heat, oxygen, and fuel, it's the only time when the fire burns. And you also have different phases of growth to a fire. When it's in the inception phase, fire is not dangerous. It might just threaten to the items that are immediately next to it. But once it grows, once it is in the growth phase, that is when either you have to fight it, extinguish it, or let it burn. If it continues burning, it enters something called a flashover. Flashover is a phenomenon when everything within a room starts burning. When everything in the room starts burning, that's when it is a threat to the structure around it. So that's what you're taught in the fire science. The second course is Building Codes and Standards, which is the backbone of fire engineering in the consulting industry, because without the prescriptive requirements that are set out in building codes and standards, you may not be able to do any beneficial fire engineering in the real world. The third course is fire safety design. In fire safety design, you are taught about how to make the buildings fire safe using safety systems, which I'll be talking through at a later stage. Fire risk assessment is also one of the important fields, because without assessing the fire safety risk, you cannot set performance objectives for fire engineering. The next course is fire investigation, which can also be termed as fire forensics, which is very useful field. Normally has a bit of chemical engineering touch to it, as it's used in understanding what actually started the fire, how long it burned, and why a building collapsed if it did in the event of a fire. The next field is my area of expertise, which is structural fire engineering, which is an overlap of fire engineering and structural engineering, which I'll talk about in the next slide. The other course is computational fluid dynamics in fire, which is nothing but the movement, the growth and spread of fire and smoke throughout the building. Another important field is human behavior in fire, which is also anthropometric study, basically in the event of a fire in a crowded building or crowded space or structure such as a stadium. How people will react. Will they be able to get out of the stadium before the fire spreads through different parts of the stadium, or whether they get stuck, or whether they have some exits unavailable to egress, resulting in casualties. Other course is fire protection systems, which is active or passive fire protection systems, which I'll talk about more a bit later. The last but not the least is industrial fire safety. Industrial fire safety is very important as well, because you cannot use the traditional fire detection and suppression systems in an industry, for example, car industry or board industry that involves combustibles, or industry where you have storage of lithium-ion batteries, or a cracker industry, for example. You might have seen a lot of fire incidents happening in these industries, but there is a way out if it is properly designed and supported by apt fire protection systems. You can avert the disaster. Talking more about structural fire engineering, it happens to be my specialty because I have a background in structural engineering. And it is also a very important field in consulting today, because it involves fire resistance of building material systems and structures, which normally a single engineer or an architect or either a fire engineer alone or a structural engineer alone cannot comprehend, because structural engineers wouldn't have expertise in fire engineering, or fire engineers wouldn't have expertise in structural engineering, and architects who are originally required to cast their eyes on the design just leave out that field, considering lack of competency. So structural fire engineering bridges the gap between architects, structural, and fire engineers, as I already mentioned. It works as a perfect optimization tool for structural design with regards to fire safety, because fire safety is often lacked when the preliminary design is developed by the structural engineers and architects. It comes a bit late in the picture. The sooner it comes into picture, the sooner we can make the building fire safe. Otherwise, you just need to wait for the event to happen, or an audit to happen, or a minor incident or a near miss incident that dictates to upgrade the fire safety systems within the building. Structural fire engineering also helps in reduction of cost in construction and helps with the long-term maintenance, and allows flexibility in design, including improving aesthetics and improving design efficiency. So let me now highlight the difference between the prescriptive design and the performance-based design. A prescriptive design normally follows codes and standards, which means anything that is required by the code, you're implementing it in the design. If they say beam cannot be more than 3 meters, then it has to be 3 meters. And even if it is a bit more, it does not comply your standards. And prescriptive design can be applied directly without any assessment, no questions asked. You just take it out of the code, apply it into your building. It can sometimes be too conservative because when prescriptive codes are built, you don't think about the actual performance of the structure. You might just get that number, and often there is a argument in the community as to how these numbers in the code appeared, like why 3 meters and why not 3.2 meters, why not 3.5 meters? And nobody has a definitive answer to it. They might have conducted some original research in the early days of development of codes and standards, but nobody thinks too hard about the performance while it needs to be considered. And most commonly, prescriptive fire design results, or a prescriptive building design for that matter, results in a stock standard design, which means you'll get a box type looking standard structure that is mostly a multi-storied building, that is rectangular in shape, that has a bunch of windows and nothing too fancy. But when you come to performance-based design, it's much more than what's defined by codes and standards. It needs to meet certain performance objectives, which means, okay, that 3 meter example, getting back to it, then there is a requirement. Okay, if that 3 meter beam deflects much more that it fails, then if it is a 3.2 meter beam and it deflects, but it does not fail, so that means you're assessing the performance of something that is out of the box, that is not a stock standard solution. So you are looking at the actual performance of the member that lets you implement that requirement in the actual building through a performance basis, but not a prescriptive design basis. And performance-based design focuses on the actual performance. It may be cost-effective, which means, like, instead of requirement that's dictated by the code, you can go with a thinner concrete slab section or something like that, and then it might result in material savings or cost savings to you throughout the course of project. And it has greater flexibility, which means you can come up with the buildings that that's shown on the right, that is totally fancy and it's out of the box. It's not a box looking type structure, but it's aesthetically appealing. Getting to an example of how structural fire engineering can be applied, let me give you an example of flat slab construction. A flat slab construction typically requires to achieve a 90-minute fire rating. A fire rating is typically the period throughout which the structure should not fail. So if it requires a fire rating of 90 minutes, that means the structure should stand up for 90 minutes in the event of a fire. If it doesn't stand, that means it doesn't achieve that fire rating. Normally, residential buildings require you to achieve a 90-minute fire rating. And in this part of the world, it's called the fire resistance level that has 3 numbers to it, 90, 90, 90, which means it should achieve 90 minutes of structural adequacy. That member should be structurally standing for 90 minutes. Integrity, which means it should support all the other parts of the building that it is supporting. Maybe a slab supports the columns above, so it should continue to support that throughout 90 minutes period. And insulation of 90 minutes, which means if a fire occurs on the bottom of the slab, the top of the ignition should not occur on top of the slab, which is typically a different apartment on the floor above. The fire should not spread. So the code and standard says that you need a minimum of 200 millimeter thick slab to achieve that 90-minute rating. So architect or structural engineer comes back and says, oh, we're dealing with an existing building. We only have 180 millimeters because the 200 millimeter requirement came, say, about 10 years ago, but the building was constructed about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when the code was not in place. And 180 millimeter is enough for all the structural engineering requirements, but it doesn't suit the fire engineering requirements. So what do we do about this now? So if you are going with the prescriptive route, then you have to increase the thickness of the slab, which means either you have to put a screed on top of it or improve the fire resistance of the slab using passive fire rating products such as vermiculite spray or plasterboard. But in performance-based engineering, you can actually show that 180 millimeter slab might still be okay, or the reinforcing bars and the pre-stressing bars in the slab are adequate for the slab to endure a fire resistance level of 90, 90, 90. So you can do a thermal heat transfer analysis in performance-based design, which is allowed by the code because it's one of the advanced methods. And you can demonstrate that a 180 millimeter slab could possibly be okay. So you don't have to stick to the standard. So what are different fire safety systems within the building? So you have your passive fire protection systems. They are normally the structural systems that are used to achieve the required fire resistance of building elements, which means for a beam, if you need a higher fire resistance, you apply that product to it. And a classic example, again, is a steel column. Steel is conductive and it can soften in the event of a fire. So it needs some protection on top of it. It can be achieved by vermiculite spray that is sprayed onto the surface of the steel that is exposed to fire, or it can be boarded up in plasterboards on all 4 sides so that beam or column or any other steel structural element is encapsulated by a fire protection system that's passive fire protection. Active fire protection systems are the mechanical and electrical systems that are installed throughout the building to enhance the fire safety of occupants and enable firefighting, which means the building should stand not only for the occupants to escape the event of a fire, but also for the fire and rescue or fire brigade personnel to come and carry out search and rescue operations and also help people get out safely. Emergency escape and rescue systems are the building systems or electrical systems that aid occupant evacuation. For example, an exit sign or a signage or an audio-visual equipment that shows you where to exit in the event of a fire. Fire safety management is a building procedure that are in place to aid safe evacuation of occupants during the fire. So what are active fire safety systems? As I told, they are the mechanical systems, which could be fire sprinklers. In the event of a fire, a building equipped with fire sprinkler system has sprinkler head, and when the fire grows, it bursts the head and water jet comes out of the sprinklers. So this helps in not only controlling the fire, but it could also help in extinguishing the fire. And this is very useful feature in most of the multi-storied buildings, entertainment venues, theaters, and all other places for the fire to stop spreading throughout the building. Second system is a fire hydrant system, which is normally used by the firefighters, which is a network of boosters and pipes that are laid out throughout the building, so that if there is a fire on, say, a 44th level in a 50-story building, firefighters can come and directly go to that level and hook their fire hoses to the system, to the pipe that is to the water pipe that is on that level of the building, and fight the fire before it spreads, or before they boost the pressure or install a pipe that takes you all the way to 44th floor. So these systems are extremely important because you can't just fight the fire during an event from ground. You need to have some safety system on that particular level. The third system is water mist systems, which are relatively new, but not as new. There have been a lot of studies, but these systems are not perfect for every scenario. These systems are perfect where someone can afford it, or if they are protecting something very valuable, such as in industries, or it could be in tunnels, where you don't want the deluge system to just flood the tunnel. Once the water comes out of these pipes, it can flood the tunnel, or it can cause disconnect to the firefighters, or hamper rescue efforts. But water mist systems are perfect in that, because it can not only keep the temperature of the fire down till the fire services approach and fight the fire, but also keeps the smoke level down. Sometimes it's not the fire that kills or causes casualty, but it's the smoke. Smoke is extremely dangerous, and then inhalation of smoke can even result in death of people. They can not just faint, but they can also die because of smoke inhalation, because the carbon dioxide levels are much higher in the sooty smoke. The fourth type of system is gaseous suppression systems. These are not very common, but they are used most commonly in the tech world, because they are used in encased rooms, such as server rooms or data centers, where you have your data racks or server racks that have extremely valuable information. It might contain your personal information. It might contain everything that is circulated across the network or internet, and data is valuable. So you don't need water to damage these servers or wipe off the data. You need those data to be used. And in gaseous suppression systems, there are some fire suppressing gases that are stored in cylinders outside the room or the data centers. And then in the event of a fire, they get triggered by sensors, and the gas is released so that it suppresses the fire, and then it will also not damage your server racks. The fifth system is fire detection and alarm system, which is nothing but smoke detection system or smoke alarm system, which are normally installed in high-rise buildings and multi-story buildings, that is controlled by something called a fire panel, which is where mostly the fire services and rescue end up when they come to the building to fight fire and understand where the fire has actually happened. Because there are systems such as addressable smoke detectors that will tell you the exact location where the fire has occurred in a 50-story building or a 60-story building. And it will help the search and rescue efforts as well as firefighting efforts. The next systems are passive fire systems. As I said, these are structural systems. It can be something as simple as a fire resistant construction. For example, a slab that can endure the fire for 90 minutes, or a wall that can endure the fire for 90 minutes or 120 minutes or 60 minutes, of whatever the requirement is for the type of building occupancy. If it's a residential building, there's a different requirement. If it's a commercial building, there's a different requirement. If it is a high-rise building, there's a different requirement. And this is how the fire resistance is fixed based on the importance level of the building. The second passive fire protection system is compartmentation. As you can see in the figure, those red spots all indicate individual fire compartments. So what is the use of fire compartmentation? The main use is if a fire occurs in one compartment, it never spreads to the other compartment, in theory. But there are so many other avenues through which it could spread. But if it is compartmentalized, if different parts of the building, or say it's a residential building and there are 10 block of units on each floor, if each of those blocks are considered as separate fire compartment, and if a fire occurs in one apartment, it does not spread to the other apartment. That is how compartmentalization works, and it essentially prevents the spread of fire throughout the building. The third type of passive fire protection systems are fireproofing systems, which are plasterboards, the boards shown in pink, and vermiculite protection systems, like you have seen that I-beam in the picture on the left, that is coated with a cementitious product of vermiculite protection, and intumescent paint, which is aesthetically pleasing, as in you can leave the members as is, showing their natural beauty. Like you can just leave a beam painted and protected. What happens is when there is a fire, the paint expands. So it expands 50 times its volume, and then creates a char layer on the steel beam, so that that insulation stops the heat from getting into the steel beam and keeps the steel beam cooler or under the temperature that it requires, that it softens. And another type of passive fire system is protection of service penetrations, which are normally through the pipes. So building, you can simply assume that a building can be a box or a compartment, but it's not as simple. You need electrical, mechanical, plumbing, fitting, and fixtures that runs throughout the building. If there is a building, you need vertical risers, and throughout the floor, you need horizontal penetrations, which means a sewer pipe or a water pipe goes from one apartment to the other apartment to the other apartment until it just networks and comes back to the point where it's distributed from. So because of these penetrations, if a fire occurs, your concrete slab will no doubt prevent it from getting into another apartment or getting into the level above, but these penetrations can act as the source of spread of fire, which means fire can get into these penetrations because these are nothing but plastic pipes, and plastic melts in the event of a fire, and the fire spreads into the adjacent compartment. But how you can prevent it? By using service penetration protection, which are the blue collars that you can see. So these blue collars have intumescent product in them. What happens is when the fire occurs, the pipe melts and the gap or the hole is sealed by that expanding intumescent material. So the fire, it prevents the fires from spreading into the neighboring compartment. You can apply the same sort of solution to different type of pipes and different material pipes. You can use insulation in the copper pipe or the cast iron pipe, or you can use insulation in zinc pipes, and also some cable trays that are extremely important. You also have electrical penetrations and service penetrations because you need to supply electricity throughout the building. and these need to be channeled in through
Uh,
um,
Praveen sir, I have a
conduit.
question. I have a question. Like as you said that these blue colors, they will melt and some fireproofing material will come out. So
Yes, yes.
that material will spread on the wall or on the in the whole room.
No, it will just close that gap in the pipe. It will close that orifice.
Okay.
It'll close the pipe and it will stop the fire from getting into the pipe.
Okay, the fire can prevent it entering into the pipe.
Yes,
Right.
the fire can spread through the pipe because it's a plastic pipe and it melts,
Okay,
and
okay, 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 okay. Right, right.
so it just seals that gap. So
Mm-hmm.
you have
Got it, got it.
a concrete slab and a closed gap so that the fire cannot spread. Okay.
Okay, you may continue, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have different type of fire service penetration protection products, which are nothing but bats or mineral wool bats, which if there are multiple penetrations, you can't just use collars if the penetrations are located close to each other. There is a requirement for these collars to be installed that the neighboring collar should be more than 75 millimeter or 80 millimeter, depending on the product. But if there are multiple penetrations, as shown in the figure on the right, then you can use a different product that will essentially stop the fire from spreading into the neighboring compartment. So these are a few homes projects where performance-based fire engineering and structural fire engineering have been successfully applied. Homes is a company that I work for, and then I've been involved in some of these projects. All the projects are a good example to demonstrate that performance-based design offers great benefits in building, uh, that you can come up with not just stock standard rectangular boxy design, but you can come up with designs of all shapes and sizes. There is a good spread of type of building as well. Some buildings are commercial, residential, entertainment, office, and educational. Some of these buildings have already been constructed, and some of them are still under construction. And the beauty is each system is different. Some buildings are hybrid concrete steel structures. Some buildings are steel structures only. Some buildings are masonry structures. Some buildings are timber and steel. Yes, timber construction has really picked up, and there are lots and lots of buildings, mostly in Europe, US, and Asia, Oceania part of it, are being constructed that have cross-laminated timber used as one of the building material. You might think timber is made from, like, timber engineered timber products are made from wood. Wood is combustible, it burns. But if it is properly designed and engineered materials are used because they have demonstrated the level of performance that are required to achieve those fire ratings. So, which means, yes, you can use the combustible product, but it needs to be treated properly. It is either treated with plasterboards or with something like paints, although they are not common, or you can leave them untreated. Because if there is enough wood, when wood burns, it forms a char layer, and this char layer prevents the heat from getting in. But this strategy needs to be used very carefully. It may not work in all instances, but in some instances, it might work. If you have superficial or sacrificial timber to char and form that layer, then you can leave the timber unprotected. So let us get on to what AI can do and how it has entered fire engineering field or stream. AI in fire detection can be used for predictive maintenance, which means active fire system is a huge network of sensors like smoke detectors, sprinklers, alarms, um, exit signs, and a lot of other systems throughout the building to guide or enable occupant evacuation. So these sensors collect data every second or every other second that needs someone to monitor it. It can't be possibly done by a human. Like you can monitor security cameras, you can have a security room, but if there are like hundreds of cameras, not one person can do it, but it needs some sort of AI algorithm that picks up glitches and picks out the right set of data that you need that needs to be shown. So you can use AI for predictive maintenance. And not only it helps you in early detection of issues, but it will also reduce the downtime, which means if there is a fire and if there's a maintenance issue, then you would know, okay, in a large building, which sensor has failed, so that you can go and not test every single sensor and then see whether it has failed or not. But you run the diagnostics and then come up with the system that, oh, okay, so on 44th floor, I have apartment 12 that is missing or has a malfunction detector. So let me go and replace it or fix it. So AI helps big time in such operations. So it also helped in optimize sprinkler activation. You have something called AI-powered sprinklers, which are not that common, but obviously it can be the technology of the future, in which the sensor detects the type of fire. A fire can be localized, which means it just burns in the corner of a column, say, for example, or corner of a room, but it doesn't spread because there are no fuel load for it to catch and spread on. So if there is a large room or a large lounge that has a lot of furniture, fire can spread from one end to the other very easily. But if it is a large room with isolated furniture here and there, it can just burn locally or affect the structural member that is very close to it. And the benefit of using AI-powered sprinkler head is it will help identify the type of fire and also adapt the activation thresholds, which means if there is a smaller fire, it uses less water to extinguish that fire or control the fire, and adapts to the real environmental conditions. And you don't have water wastage or you don't have water damage to the rest of the building. But only that sprinkler where the fire happened will activate and control the fire. You can use them for enhanced fire detection, integration of sprinklers to other systems such as detectors, cameras, and as I said, or mentioned the term connected world, it can be used as a network. And
Praveen sir, here I would like to ask you one question that's revolving in my mind.
sure.
Uh, as we do modeling and analysis of structures in
Mhm.
software, like I
Yeah,
use CAD Pro or ETABS.
yeah,
Okay, so and after analyzing the building in these softwares, we get the deflected shape of the building, the SFD, the BMD, and all other structural stresses.
yeah.
Similarly, is there also a fire simulation of building in which we can check, for example, if fire broke out in this particular room, how it will spread in other rooms, or how the building will perform under fire in this one room, or for example, in two,
Yes.
if fire breaks out simultaneously, how these systems.
Yes. Yeah, it's not just one software, but there are two different softwares which you need to use in conjunction. Like I said, one software is primarily used by fire engineers called Fire Dynamic Simulator, which will help you understand how the fire spreads or when will it spread or when will it become large enough to affect the structural elements. And the second set of software is the structural fire software. There are a few, to name a few, there is Saphir, which I use, and there is a software called Vulkan. And you can also use traditional finite element software such as Abacus, ANSYS, Athena, and few other like Salome Mecha or few other software that does finite element analysis. But specialist fire structure software is Saphir. And there is something also called OpenSeas now that is being developed. So you have these specialist softwares. So the analysis that you do in StatPro alone cannot help you understand or do each and everything. Like it has something called a standard fire. A standard fire is a furnace fire. So most of these standard software use a furnace fire, which means it's not realistic. It's not the same as real fire, and it assumes that the whole building is burning at the same rate, which is not true. Like it might be overly conservative, but it's still not the same.
Okay, okay, sure, sure. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So AI helps in advanced design using fire simulation tools and optimized system design, which I just spoke about. So Kamlesh's question was very timely. AI can be used in remote monitoring and control of cloud-based platforms for monitoring and maintenance of these systems. Also, there is something called hybrid testing, which is also useful in academic research, which means you can just conduct experiment on a single column, pretending it to be a column in a 40-story building. So when you are doing a real-time experiment on that single column, you can integrate that into a software that analyzes a 40-story building at the same time. Like you can do a hybrid simulation. So when the experiment is being done, it will show the holistic behavior of that building. If that column was one of the critical members in one of the bottom stories, whether the structure will collapse or cause something called a progressive collapse, which means if you take that column out, if it is a critical member, the rest of the building will fall like a pack of cards, or at least one portion of the building will fall like a pack of cards. This is called a progressive collapse. There are a few AI-based systems that can do this sort of hybrid testing and simulation. So AI is also used in firefighting across the world. AI drones and robots have demonstrated their capabilities to fight fires in buildings, wildland fires, shipboats, and industries, which pose danger to human firefighters. And some of these areas are the places where even a human firefighter can't even enter, especially in large factory having tall, high tracks. What are the benefits of AI in fire safety systems? AI can offer enhanced safety by early detection, optimal suppression, and informed evacuation. So in the event of a fire, obviously, there is something called a dynamic sign, which is very similar to playing a video game in which you reach an exit and then you say, oh, this exit is not available, because if you get out of the door, you will be faced with a large fire in the along the way to get out of the building. So that exit sign just shows that, okay, this exit is not available. So go to other nearest exit and points you in the right direction, because some of these buildings, people might just be entering for the first time. They wouldn't even know where the exits are located throughout the building, and nobody is going to stand there and look at the evacuation diagram or plans or try to understand where the nearest exit is. You have to do it when you have no other option, but when you have option of an intelligent exit system or signage, you don't have to stay in one location, or you can enter the area of refuge. AI also helps in minimize the property damage by reducing costs and disruptions associated with the building maintenance, which means you can get it up and running in no time once the source is identified. AI enhances the reliability and efficiency of fire protection systems, ensuring they function optimally and when needed. AI can help to reduce the maintenance cost, optimizes system design for long-term performance, and provide data-driven insights for building, for fire investigation and prevention efforts, as I mentioned about the connected systems, and also for maintenance purposes. If some of your sensors are aging and needs replacement, this can be easily sorted out through AI, cutting the lead time. AI forms an integral part of predictive fire behaviors. AI can be used in automating model generation, optimize digital resource usage in simulation, as well as in post-processing the complex results that provides the favorable outcome. So these are the two different simulation snips from two different softwares that I was talking about. Through computational fluid dynamics, there is a software called Fire Dynamic Simulator, commonly used by fire engineers. So in this, you can do something called fire and smoke modeling, which means if a fire starts in one corner of the room, you can actually estimate the time at which the fire spreads based on the fuel load that is available within the building and the time through which the smoke spreads. Because if the smoke covers different parts of the building, they are unavailable for evacuation. So you need to have safe egress areas throughout the building so that occupants can egress during the fire and firefighters can enter and carry out their search and rescue operations, even though the fire has started spreading. So, and also for the structural file modeling, nonlinear finite element analysis, that's SNP or deflection contours from Saphir. So that is for one of the design fire, which means you don't have to stick to a standard fire. You can't assume that everything is burning at the same time. You can come up with something called a traveling fire, which means you can spread out fuel load throughout the floor area and then start fire in one corner and then let it spread across so that some structural elements that are in the near field of the fire have a larger deflection, and the ones that are in the far field of the fire have a smaller deflection, which means it will help you assess the realistic fire as it spreads through and how the deflection changes from one part to the other. Once the fire has moved, the structural elements such as beam or column that were affected by the fire are no longer in that fire field zone. Fire has moved. They are in the neighboring bay. So those elements are under thermal stress at that point. And there is a stress recovery going on in the previous phase. So with that, you can show that the performance is good, or you can even go up to the level that if a 120-minute fire resistance level is required, you can show that 90 minutes is good enough because the fire deflections won't even start, or the fire dies down, or the fire just extinguishes. You can demonstrate this. But the beauty of structural fire assessments is you are always required to do it without considering the benefits of sprinklers, which means it's plan B, which means if the sprinklers fail. In AI, you expect it to perform a bit better than standard systems. But for all structural fire assessment, the basic assumption is the sprinklers have failed, the fire is not controlled, it's moving or it's spreading. But if the sprinklers activate in the first place, it can keep the fire to under 300 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, if the fire grows, you can have temperatures as high as 1000 degrees Celsius. Moving on to the topic of sustainability and embodied carbon. This has been
Dr. Praveen.
Yeah.
Sorry to again intervene you in between. In the previous slide, you said that some AI can be used to for the modeling. So, are there any codal provisions that we need to consider? For example, what will happen if fire gets ignited in either one room or in two room or in three room? Like the possibility of fire in two rooms simultaneously is little remote, less
Yes,
probability, and three
that's
rooms
right.
simultaneously again very less
Yes.
probability. So, are there any combinations like we use in structural design, like dead load plus live load? So, fire in one room or two. Are there any provisions regarding these combinations also?
No, because the basic assumption for any fire to start that it will start in one room. It could spread through, but when it starts, it just starts in the same room. Because the probability based on studies and based on the events from the past, it has always been shown that Two different fire doesn't start in two different locations unless it's
Just
a
like
rare event.
just like as we design buildings, we know that wind load and earthquake load both
Yeah,
won't come simultaneously.
yeah,
It's either for wind design for wind or for
yeah,
earthquake.
yeah,
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
exactly. Yeah. There is something called cascading analysis. That was the part of my PhD, in which you can um, expect sequential and situational events to occur one after the other, not at the same time, but one after the other. Like when there's an earthquake, there is a possibility of gas mains rupture or electrical short circuiting, and fire can occur right after earthquake, which means some of the building elements might already be in stress because of earthquake, and then you have fire. And no codes throughout the world have been designed to consider these effects one after the other. So you have like a compounding damage in that case, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not considered. It may be considered if there is a strong need or more events in the future that come up. There have been events in the Fukushima earthquake and Northridge earthquake and few other earthquakes in California before, but the codal committees and standards still hold on to the assumption that we just analyze for one particular event and not simultaneous events.
Right, right. Very true.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to sustainability and embodied carbon. Embodied carbon is the amount of greenhouse gas that is emitted throughout the process of product manufacturing, construction, service life, and end of life of buildings, as shown in that figure on the screen. As you can see in the figure, the embodied carbon can be measured at different stages, such as cradle to gate, which means mainly during the product manufacturing phase. So how much carbon footprint is left by manufacturing that product? For example, say it's a timber product, it's a cross-laminated timber. So you cut the trees, you transport them, and you cut them again, glue them. So what's the carbon footprint left in this process? This is cradle to gate. The next is gate to site. So that product that is manufactured in the industry needs to be delivered to site. So you need to spend on fuel. So if you're using more carbon, so that's carbon footprint from gate to site. Normally it's cradle to site, where cradle to site, where the number is normally high because you're manufacturing the product, you're using more energy, you're transporting the product using more energy, you're building it again using more energy. So then you have the use of the building, which is not so much carbon, but then obviously you need to keep the building running. So if the service life of the building is 40 years or 80 years, so all the 40 or 80 years you have electricity, gas, and few other necessities for that building to keep operational. So you have carbon footprint associated with that as well. But then when you are making informed decisions for design, you only consider cradle to site. The overall process is called cradle to grave, in which you have product, construction, use, and end of life as well, which means when a building reaches end of life service, then it needs to be dismantled, and some of the raw materials will be reused for construction, or they have to be dumped in landfill, or they can be transported to a recycling industry where some of these get recycled. So AI can significantly impact the assessment and reduction of embodied carbon in construction and other industries. As in, AI can analyze material databases and automate and accelerate the life cycle analysis, which is basically the method of estimating the carbon footprint throughout the life cycle of the building. So you can use some AI algorithms to make informed decisions. And AI algorithms can come up with generative designs in optimizing the engineering designs. And AI can also help in supply chain management, as in AI can optimize the material sourcing and transportation routes that it can take to deliver the materials to site. AI can also help in streamlining policies and regulations to create green infrastructure, as policies are really extremely difficult to understand and interpret across different stakeholders. AI can simplify it in a form that everybody can understand and benefit out of it. So, how you can build sustainability? Sustainably. You can use sustainable materials in construction. For example, if you're constructing a building out of concrete, it has a larger carbon footprint. Swap it to either a steel or a eco-sourced steel, which has a lower carbon footprint, or swap it with the timber construction or timber design. Timber alone cannot build high-rise buildings or buildings that are more than 6 stories or 7 stories, depending on the building code requirements, of more than 4 stories, for example, but it needs a hybrid timber and steel structure to build higher than that. So even by supplementing 25% of your building material to wood or lower carbon footprint material, you can greatly enhance the sustainability objectives of the construction. Reduce the waste in construction. Obviously, if you are building a concrete building, then you have to mix concrete on site, or you have to mix concrete outside, which is again like use of energy, transport, and more greenhouse gases. But if it is a precast, it can just be brought out to site, and then you can just assemble or install it in less amount of energy and reducing construction waste on site. And use of clean and green energy. So in some of these industries that manufacture building materials, some have set objectives and goals for net zero carbon by 2050, which is what most of the countries are trying to achieve or strive really hard to come up with policies that reduces the carbon footprint as we move on, so that they can reduce the climate change or disasters that are being caused due to climate change. So you can use clean and green energy. Some of the steel manufacturers have started using electric blast furnace instead of blast furnace that runs on fossil fuel energy. So that is one way in which you can achieve sustainability objectives. And use of smart building systems for reduced maintenance that uses less power, as in some of the exit signs or illuminated exit signs require lower voltage, and new technology has flooded into markets with extra low voltage, which means it's barely nothing. Like you can reduce the demand for electricity use throughout the service life of the building. And reuse and repurpose existing buildings. This is something that most of the buildings across the world can easily do, depending on what policies they have in place. In Germany, most of the office buildings post-COVID are lying vacant because they have adopted to a hybrid or a hot desk type of office system in which you don't need to commute to the office. So those buildings are being laying vacant, and you can repurpose them or into residential apartment buildings that can solve the building crisis, or having not enough apartments for people to live. You can repurpose the buildings very easily. One thing that needs to be considered is the fire safety when you're repurposing the building. When you're going from a higher fire safety requirement building to a lower fire safety requirement building. For example, if an office building was built for 2 hours of fire assistance, and residential building needs 1.5 hours of fire assistance. So if you're converting from a residential to office, you might have to up your fire protection necessities. But when you're going from office to residential, you have to reverse it, which means you already have minimum set of objectives being met, so you don't have to build more. So yeah, it has to be a very informed decision. And reduce the overall carbon demand, not just the way we use the material, also day-to-day life, using public transport as opposed to your own vehicles, less air travel, and keep it to absolutely essential, because meetings can be conducted nowadays even through Teams. You don't have to be in that place. Obviously, it will help you big time in cutting down the carbon emission due to the jet fuel. And responsible land management, build vertically rather than cut down forest and expand horizontally. And you also know the issues of building close to the forest line or wildland, because wildland urban interface is a fire safety risk. And use skills like AI to aid in efficient design. So what are the challenges to fire safety, noting that we have about 5 minutes and I'm approaching the last few slides of my presentation. What are the challenges to building fire safety? Some of these may or may not be applicable depending on the local legislation or which part of the world you come from or are working in. Lack of legislative requirements. Some requirements, in some countries, the legislative requirements are really laxed, which means you have to resort to building codes and standards from other countries to achieve your fire safety objectives of your building design, because 50-story building might not be something that you construct every day. So that needs to be given a special attention. Even in developed countries, there are no specific codes and standards for buildings over 40 stories. Up to 40 stories, some countries have, but if you're building higher than that, then obviously the building has to be built based on the performance basis, considering the holistic approach. And myriad of contemporary building materials that are combustible in nature. A classic example, again, is Grenfell Tower. If anyone remembers that tragedy in London a few years ago, there was a combustible cladding that was attached to the building that resulted in spread of fire externally throughout the building and causing damage and casualty. So it is also extremely important to consider the nature of material. It might be green, it might be clean, but at the same time, it might not be suited for fire safety requirements or conditions. Fire risks of integrated building services, solar photovoltaics, battery storage, and electric vehicle charging, which I'll briefly introduce in the next slide. Lack of holistic engineering design and coordination with various stakeholders, which is also extremely important, because when a tall building or even a decent sized building is being built, there are multiple stakeholders. There's mechanical engineer, civil engineer, building services engineer, structural engineer, fire engineer, and architect, and policymakers, building certifiers, and finally also the government who will be approving. And everybody will not have the same skill set, and there has to be a common language that everybody speaks and tries to understand the holistic performance of the building. Otherwise, what happens is at the end, everybody will start pointing fingers at each other and saying it was your responsibility. So that has been a very challenging task, because when an accident or a disaster happens, that's when the court cases come into light, and then the investigation starts on whose responsibility was it to make the building safe. Lack of implementation of fire protection and safety systems, which is again another important field. That is a fair challenge, because the requirement for installation of these systems are laxed in multiple legislations, and you don't really have a license requirement for someone to install these fire safety systems. Some countries do have. Even if they do have, there is not a system in place to check these or cast a careful eye on installation and maintenance. Lack of maintenance of these systems are also important because you need the system to work when you need it, when there is a fire event. But if these systems are not maintained, if there is no water in the sprinkler pipe when a fire happens, your sprinklers just burst and no water comes out of it. So your basic level of safety is ruled out, and now you have to resort to passive fire protection systems and rely on them to provide fire safety in your building. Touching a little bit about photovoltaics, electric vehicles, and fire safety, you might have seen multiple incidents and accidents across the world that is being shown and brought up by the media every now and then, that there is a fire in battery plants or solar installations and electric vehicles. Yes, the threat is real because these systems, this is a good example where the technology has gone ahead of legislation and code implementation, which means these systems are good for everyone, but if they are not installed properly, it can result in a large fire, threatening the life and safety of occupants and the buildings. The fire can be caused because of DC isolators, inverters, and wiring in solar photovoltaics. And the energy that you harness using these renewable systems needs to be stored, otherwise it just gets used, or it just gets wasted, or it can be pumped back to the grid. But you need a large infrastructure to do this, but a simple enough solution is store them in batteries. So to store these harnessed green energy, you have lithium-ion batteries, which are prone to fire incidents and accidents. And they're also the culprits in electric vehicles, or even not just the cars, but also scooters, segways, hoverboards and skateboards, and any other mobility vehicle that uses lithium-ion batteries. It just sets on fire if it's of a substandard quality, or if it is introduced thermal shocking. So if there is a real fire event and there is a stack of lithium-ion batteries, you might end up with a fire that cannot be extinguished even by the firefighters, because lithium-ion batteries cannot be extinguished using traditional methods like your extinguishers, or even with water. It just keeps coming back. It cannot be extinguished using water. So how can AI help overcome some of these challenges? AI can aid and influence the risk of policy-based decisions, as we already talked about. Policymaking is not simple and has a set of requirements. AI algorithms can help engineers to choose the right materials based on their combustibility requirements, which means somebody, even without an expert knowledge, for example, say, if safety is all stakeholder responsibility, an architect can cross-check something that has been proposed, whether it's okay to use that material in his building, and does it suit all others, does it tick all the boxes of the fire safety requirements or not. Or AI-based risk assessment, simulations, and management systems can be used for safer and improved photovoltaics and EV systems. As I said, the technology is evolving and the fire risk hadn't been carefully thought about when these systems were introduced, but now we have incidents and you have more reasons to improve the battery management system so that these incidents do not occur. AI can help build safe and secure connected systems that can help engineers design holistic and fire-safe buildings. AI-based monitoring can help with the system and building maintenance. Summarizing, AI is a very beneficial future skill if used ethically for constructive purposes. AI has a great potential in designing and maintaining maintenance of fire safety in buildings. AI can improve efficiency and provide cost benefits. AI can help build stronger and safer communities. AI can minimize technological fire risks, and AI is data driven and data dependent and needs trained for accuracy. So even if an AI tool is available, you can't just take it up out of stack and use it because it needs to be trained. All these algorithms are self-learning. So if you come across something that just says AI and if you find it gimmicky, don't just blindly use it. It's not one of the garbage in, garbage out systems. You need to train the system, the algorithm first before you rely on the results that it has provided. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kamath sir, for taking this very acknowledging, informative, and knowledgeable session on fire. Although it's a new topic for many of us, but I hope that all the audience must have been benefited with the new concepts and some of the visuals that you show how a building simulation for the fire is done, the softwares. Audience, now the mics and video are open for all of you. You may ask your question. It's open to all. Yes, anyone from the audience? Meanwhile, audience will think of the question. Dr. Srinivas has a question. Yes, Dr. Srinivas, you may ask directly. Both the audio and video controls are given.
Yeah. I mean, uh, my greetings to you, Professor. And
Just Dr. Srinivas, Praveen Kamath is working in the industry. Uh, Praveen Kamath is working in the industry.
no, but then, yeah, I know, but then it came to me automatically because of the prolific kind of lecture he has delivered. I know, yeah,
Right, right.
but then the content is so overwhelming. I just couldn't, help
True, true,
myself, call
true,
him as a
true.
professor. He definitely.
Apologies. It's a very detailed field, and I couldn't explain it in a 1.5 hour. It's a full course basically. Sorry
He
about
fits,
if you did not follow
uh,
anything.
he fits the bill for a professor.
True, true.
Nevertheless, my simple question is, we have fire rating, 3-hour fire rating, 4-hour fire rating, 5-hour fire rating in our country.
Mhm.
So, to what extent this structure can resist the fire is, that's how the rating is given. I mean, you already. Now, I wish to know that what are the materials which we can use in order to ensure that I'm talking about modern materials, in
Mhm.
order to ensure that with a less fire rating I could evacuate everybody very quickly. Let it be a higher, let it be a high rise structure also
Mhm.
in that context.
Yeah. So you have a few different options. If your structure is concrete structure, then you possibly need not put any fire rating to it unless you need to up the fire rating of an existing structure. But I think concrete is the least combustible, or like something that is resistant to fire. But obviously, concrete has the ability to spall, which means it exposes the reinforcement. Even then, the building could still stand. And if you need the least amount of fire rating, I would say it's the concrete structure that doesn't need any additional treatment. And a concrete building is good. But again, like concrete is not the best material when you think of sustainability or few other objectives as in weight. Like if it is a seismically active zone, building with concrete might be a bit
Mhm.
tricky because concrete is not the best material. So next would be steel, because for steel you can use intumescent paint, which is nothing but it just looks like a regular paint. But the only downsides to it is it's really expensive.
Correct.
So it might not fit the bill of all builders, or
Mhm.
depending on what sort of
Excellent.
budget is set aside for the project.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here,
Thank you.
uh, Praveen sir, I would also like to ask you, like in India, what the construction practices that we follow is that either it's an RCC frame structure, or
Mhm.
like if it is a stone masonry structure, then we have walls 6 inches thick wall, partition walls. You have been in India and you know well.
Mm.
So the structure becomes too much heavy,
Mm.
and even like stone is also stone can also resist fire, but it can also blast, it can also in tension it can crack. And
Mm.
then as and I have visibly, like in my experience also, I've seen one of the part of my house, and there was a
Mm.
fire, and the stone slabs, they literally cracked and they fell
Mm.
down. So I just want to know for my knowledge, what type of materials are being used, like in Australia and that you're working with. So how, what construction materials they use?
Yeah, I would say 75% of the buildings here are concrete,
Okay.
and about 10 to 15% buildings are steel, because Australia is not a seismically active zone, so they don't care much about other objectives being certified or doing a seismic design. So we find more concrete structures in this part of the world at the moment. But the new buildings that are coming up have sustainability objectives tagged to them, which means architects are forced in some ways to adopt with other type of construction, such as steel and timber. So most of the new buildings that are coming up are either steel or timber buildings.
What type of filler materials they use for partitions? What are the materials that they use? Like where here we use bricks, and then we do plastering on. So is it
Yeah.
the same practice followed there, or they use some different materials for that?
No, they do use bricks in some portions. Like if it is a concrete frame structure, they use bricks, but that's something called face bricks. They are not solid bricks as you find in India. They're just face bricks, which means they just provide one part of fire resistance. The internal portion of like if you have outer side of the building as a brick wall, the inner side of the building will have a lightweight framing that could either be timber framing or a light gauge steel framing that is covered with plasterboards. Plasterboards are nothing but gypsum boards. They're really rare to find in India, but rarely used for construction. At least when I was there, I have seen very few. Like I haven't seen any
Right,
plasterboard being
right.
used in construction. But yeah, but here it's very widely used. Like the inside of your wall is because most of the buildings here need water tightness and rain screen and breathability. So what happens is if you have the outer layer as brick, you have your inner layer as plasterboard. There is gap in between, so that will result in good airflow throughout the building.
Okay, 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 okay. So we have one more question from Sneha MNSFTID. Any alternative materials for wood used in interiors, because most of the buildings fire accidents spread because of wood? And what changes in the grading system with respect to fire prediction could be made in India? So she's asking both as alternative of wood also, and uh, the grading, what alternatives, what changes
Uh,
with respect to fire protection in India should be made?
Yeah. So for wood, I would say wood is actually the best material, but then you can provide fire safety systems within the building to help you control that risk of fire. But if you need wood type of finish, then there are some steel products available in the market that looks like wood, very much looks like wood. You cannot distinguish. It's the wood finish or the wood paint that goes on your exterior, or you can use some non-combustible material that looks like wood. Supplement that so that you have a wood finish as well as you have that
Wood is
requirement
again
for
uh,
aesthetics.
also like how much is the availability of the wood in Australia? Is it easily available at cheap rate or
No, it's imported. Most of them are engineered wood products.
okay?
They are imported, but Australia also produces some of them. Mostly the market is ruled by Canada. They have large forests and then a lot of wood products that they supply to the world.
But right now Canada is also suffering from fire.
Sorry?
Right now Canada is also suffering from fire.
Yeah, they do have fire, but then obviously they have a lobby created by timber manufacturers, which means they always keep competing against concrete and steel structures.
Okay. So any more questions from the audience?
I think I haven't answered what changes in grading system with respect to fire protection should be made in India. For this question, I'm sorry. Can you expand a bit more grading system? I'm not quite sure if I understand the question correctly. Is
I
it the
think she is asking about the rating system.
Yes, sir. I think she's asking for rating
Fire
system
rating.
to timber.
fire rating system?
Yeah.
Um, okay. All right. Thanks. Yeah, for fire rating systems, as long as minimum requirements have been followed on site, which means as long as fire safety is considered seriously, I think you don't need any um, different changes. It has to be the best change, I would say, is a legislative change, which means fire safety needs to be considered seriously and made a legislative requirement, which means when you're designing, it needs to consider fire safety.
Okay, sir. And I think in India it is covered through the provisions of cover. For different fire rating, we have different cover requirements.
Yeah, but
Yes, 456
is
recommend
that
some cover
yeah
requirements for the
yeah?
fire
So
rating.
is that been reviewed by some other than structural engineer?
No, in Indian IS 456, they recommend different covers for different hours of fire safety.
Yes, but cover alone cannot guarantee the performance.
Right.
So yeah, that's right. I think you can't just say you can use a 25 millimeter cover for 60 minutes fire resistance, no matter what the building element is. Like if it's a column, you have to use 25. If it's a beam, you have to use 25. Slab, you have to use 25. I think that needs to be
Update.
changed based on the type of structural element.
And in a population of almost 144 crore, we Indians are least bothered about the fire, and it is left to the mercy of the God. Often fire breaks out, and then there is all shore sarab and blah blah blah. But after a few times, things get settled down, and everyone follows their own routine. So I think we can end session here, Praveen sir.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for
thank
this new knowledge that you have imparted today to all the audience. I think that audience will enjoy it. Earlier, you were reluctant to take this lecture, but I hope that you would again keep your services with us in future also, as and when we need. And I would take my privilege, being a junior of you, to use your expertise for such sessions in future also.
thanks. Pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So next session is by Professor Chetan Sharma. Uh, Kiran ma'am, hello.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen Kamath, sir.
Thanks.
for a very wonderful, very nice, informative session for us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ma'am, can we start the second section or we need to?
Thanks.
Uh,
Sure, sure, sir, sure, sir.
Dr. Chetan Sharma had joined the meeting and he will give the next session on AI driven data governance and privacy in smart cities. And uh, in the last session, we introduced him in this FDP. Again, I am giving his introduction. Dr. Chetan Sharma is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Texas at San Antonio, USA, and a review editor for Frontiers in Climate Research. He earned his PhD in civil engineering from the IIT Roorkee, India, specializing in change detection and adaptation strategies. With over 11 years of combined academic, research, and industrial experience, Dr. Sharma's work focuses on artificial intelligence application in hydrology, sustainable urban planning, and climate resilience. His contribution include AI-driven modeling for groundwater system, urban water resource management, and predictive analytics for climate adaptation. He has published extensively in high-impact journals such as Nature's Sustainability and Geoscience Frontier, and co-edited books on sustainable development and geospatial technologies. Dr. Sharma has led multiple research proposals and collaborated on NSF funded projects involving AI and data science in environmental modeling. He is an advocate of AI integration in smart city planning and has delivered invited talks on AI powered sustainability solutions. So, Dr. Sharma, Mike is over to you, sir.
So, thank you, ma'am, for again introducing me to the audience. I think most of them were earlier present in my presentation, but yeah, thank you. So, I will just share my first slide first with you. So, just let me see how it goes. Okay, so you can see my slides.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, just a minute, let me just do something else. So, give me a moment. Mm, I don't have any- mm, some glitches here. Just give me a moment. Kamlesh, could you please stop my presentation? I am just finding some trouble in it. I don't know what is happening.
Yes, sir.
Could you please stop this presentation? Means I don't know. I'm not able to see my cursor and anything.
So, should I remove you as a co-host?
No, could you? Are you able to stop my presentation because you are the host? So
Just okay.
but I cannot access my any of the controls.
I'm not finding any.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Please just remove me, then I will join again.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Just a minute.
Yeah. I don't know what is happening. It's something with the Google Meet or what.
Sir, removed.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's I don't I think when you made me the co-host, that's why it was doing some problem. So, but now I'm not able to share my presentation.
Just
So just make me once, then just remove me from the co-host. So I think that will work there. So
now, sir.
yeah, it's doing fine now. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Good.
So you can see my screen, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you again for joining me. And last time I stopped my session at the role of AI in the smart cities and what are the future of smart cities and how AI can be helpful. What are the challenges and how can we contribute into this. So but in that I discuss about something like how the what is the role of the governance and the privacy uh, production things in the smart cities, because the AI in the smart cities, it works on data. So data is collected from you are the user. So ultimately, whenever the data is collected, your data is shared with the government agencies and everything. So means some people might think that they are tracking your activities and everything, and it's demeaning their privacy and everything. So yeah, there are a lot of challenges there. So uh, we cannot stop the AI to be in your life because it's already there. So ultimately, if you want it or not, it would be there. It's already there in most of the things, like from smartphones, from the most of cities, and they are at some level they are using the AI. So it's already there. So ultimately, the government have to decide and they have to plan some kind of policy so that it should be transparent. The user should be able to trust on this AI and everything. So the whole lecture is about this, like how the AI driven data governments would work, and how it would be helpful to maintain your privacy in the smart cities. So uh, that is the what I'm going to discuss in this session. So first of all, that what is the role of AI driven governance? What is the role of AI in the smart cities and in the governance, like in the policies and everything, how they would be helpful to include the cutting edge technologies like AI, and also ensure that your data is private, and no one would be able to misuse your data. So this is not the new thing for most of the world, because the countries like Singapore and other European countries, they are already using these kind of things like governance, backed up with the AI. So it's not new thing. So ultimately, we have to just work on it, have a proper plan, and guideline to make that system transparent for the users. So this is the way, means the flow of the this session. Like, we first of all discover how the AI in data governance will work, and we will just learn about the what are the risk and what are the policy change challenges would be there in uh, applying these kind of things in the data governance. And we will then understand what are the what are the tools and technologies which would be helpful to have your data secure and transparent, and also it will be helpful to have the AI in the smart cities. Then we will have some examples like the cities or the countries which are already using these kind of things, uh, to just encourage us to also have this in our country or city. Also, we will focus on the future of AI in smart cities. The AI is already there, which I already told you. But yeah, what is going to be the emerging trend, or what the other countries are doing, or whatever the latest research is going on. So that's the first slide of this presentation, like the introduction. So what is a smart city? We know what is smart city, like, that everything is in the circular manner, like we are having the least impact on the environment. That's smart city. So to have the least impact on the environment, we have to be, more, uh, we will have to have more data and more technology advancement, so that we can have, better result, better predictions, so that we can have least impact on the environment. So how does the ACT become smart? So whenever you have a lot of data from the IoT or the sensor and everything, and you have the AI, so we will be able to improve our public services, the infrastructure, the resource use. And like you see, I earlier told you the example of Singapore, who use the AI in the smart traffic management. So they are able to reduce the traffic congestion by more than 30%. So that's the thing, that's the benefit of AI in the smart cities and everything. But the thing, it needs a lot of data, so it is called the urban data explosion. So because in the cities like uh, New Delhi or Kolkata or Mumbai, or the medium to big cities, there is a massive data there, because you have the lot of people, lot of things are there, a lot of urban clusters are there, industries are there, a lot of people are there, movement is there, traffic is there. So it is going to generate a lot of data. So you need a lot of sensors, cameras, and interaction with the people. So it is, you need a very big amount of energy and the data storage thing to manage and analyze this data. So what are the challenges going to be in this? Because you are going to have a lot of data of, I think, for each and every people of the city where it is going to be implemented. So it is very, very crucial to manage and secure that amount of data, because you have also heard that, heard a lot of time that Aadhaar numbers or these things have been leaked online, or so many account numbers have been leaked online, or someone have uh, hacked your system through your credentials and secure data. So the thing, these things are happening as the technology is advancing. The hackers and the evil guys are also getting advanced to the technology. So that's always happens there. When you had the nuclear bomb, they developed it for the good purpose, like for the energy, but they made the bomb with it. So this happens. You also make the guns for the protection of your country, but also it is being used to against your country. So technology is everywhere, and technology have good and bad thing. The thing comes on the how do you use that technology, and always evil will be against you. So don't, you should not be afraid of these kind of things, because people are always there to protect you. People are always there to challenge this protection to have for their own advantage. So the thing, the challenges are like, you have a lot of data, so securing the data so that people privacy and everything have been maintained. And you have to make a balance between innovation and privacy protection. So innovation shouldn't be like that you have opened the whole amount of data to everyone so that everyone can access it. No, it shouldn't be like that. So uh, innovation and the protection of the privacy should be in the balance. Like, means you should maintain both of these things. Like, you have to innovate also, you have to protect the data also, you have to protect the privacy also. So these kind of things you have to do. So again, now we will have a poll. So the thing, what will I do? I have also have. I thought that you might be having some difficulty in accessing the poll earlier. So just a minute. Uh, I will have that a link also there. Uh, no, this is not again. Okay, yeah, just let me do it. So I will also share link with you on the to the chat box, and from there we can you can just interact with that poll. So would I be shared to? Yeah, I'm also sharing the that link with you in the chat box. You can just click on the link and participate in the poll, because some of you are using the mobile to have this presentation. So yeah, you can just click on the link and participate in the poll. So the thing, the why this is poll is there, because we want to know that what is your biggest challenge in the data governance, like in the smart cities. Like if you think that data privacy is your biggest challenge, or you think that that's a lack of clear policies, like you don't know what is happening inside and you should be more aware of the policies. Then third thing is, if you think that implementation cost is a real big factor for you, then the final thing is public trust issues, like the public trust on this kind of things or not. So means this is for your knowledge, like what do you think it is the biggest challenge for data governance? The thing, you cannot avoid it, the AI implementation and application in your daily life, because you are already using it. So the thing means, what do you want to be more, like you want to be data more private, or that's a challenge, or the cost of this is challenge, or the policies you don't know, that's a challenge, or the public trust is the challenge. So you can select more than one option, so it will be helpful to let us know that what is your biggest challenge to collaborate with the government and agencies to have this in action. So yeah, so data privacy 100% good. High implementation cost. Yeah, cost is in India. Yeah, obviously, because the population is so high. So unlike the other European or US and other small countries, Singapore, because they have uh, ample amount of money and few people, so they can have per head they have a lot of money, so they can invest anything whatever they want. But yeah, if with India, the population is very very high, so to implement this kind of system, even a fraction of that system would need a lot of money. So yeah, and ultimately the money is going to be come from the taxpayers ultimately. So yeah, that's implementation cost high is the thing. Data privacy is your biggest challenge, but a public touch is only 25%. That's okay, means you don't consider it as a big issue. That's good. Clear policies, yeah, means the thing, because you are not aware of the policies, what are the policies, whatever happens or whatever happened in other countries. So you might think that policies should be transparent or not. But yeah, after some time, after a few years, when most of the countries, most of cities in India will apply this AI concept, then you will also consider this as a great point, as a challenge. So yeah, so thank you for this poll. So data privacy, high implementation cost, okay, that's good. So again, now coming to the what is the data governance. So I told you earlier, like that what is the governance? Governance is the framework that manage, protect, and use the data. But ultimately, what happens? It should be used, managed, and protected responsibly. Responsibly means, what is here? The data, whatever they are using, it should be backed up by some standards and some data security and some compliances and the ethical practices. Like in the so what are the core components of this? So these are data policies, there should be standards, and there should be some kind of accountability mechanism. Like whatever happens, there should be someone who should be held accountable, and the things can be restored to better way. So first of all, the it should ensure the transparency. Like you should know what data is being collected. That's a transparent thing. Means ultimately, with the Google and with the Facebook and with all other things, they are collecting the data, but you don't know what data or they are being collected. Like the Amazon Echo or the Gemini, or you use a lot of AI tools and everything. So and there are a lot of things in your home which silently hear your sounds and everything. You have your trackers in your Fitbit and everything. They track your daily activities. So you are, by knowingly or unknowingly, you are sharing your data, and you even don't know what they are doing with the data. So the thing, the what citizens and the users should always know that how their data is going to be used, and whatever data they are used. So whenever you buy a new system, you install the app, they just just you just check everything is agreed. You just simply check it, don't read what they always have some disclosure document how your data is being collected, why they're using it, and they are going to be used for advertisements or not. So you just go and simply check it. So the companies are saving their necks to being sued by you, because they know that you are not going to read anything. So means the data this so to ensure that transparency, the government should be able to this tell you, the citizens, that how, why, and which data is being used of the users. Then second thing, you should the government should be able, and the user should be able to establish the accountability. Like, it should not be black box, like something happens now you don't know what is, because the AI, you don't see generally what is happening in the AI inside the models and everything. So you are not able to track where the data is coming from. Like in the cryptocurrency, what is happening, it is developed by blockchain. So there are only the numbers are there, you don't see. And that's blockchain, that's ultimately highly protected. So you will not be ever know that whatever the bitcoins or cryptocurrency you are transferring to, going to a certain person amount. That's why the India and few governments are hesitant to have this kind of system in our country, because you don't know, it might be used for some black money or some illegal activities, because you don't know which user or which person is going to order the things using the black money, the cryptocurrency. So that's why they are not able to hold anyone accountable for some wrongdoing. So in the AI driven economy, AI driven smart cities, there should be someone who should be held accountable. So they should be able to trace the source of that error, and how the users are going to be affected. Then also it should be able to enhance the transparency, and it should be able to build the citizen trust. And the data should be ethically and securely stored in some kind of mechanism. So without AI, because you are having an ample amount of data, so without AI, without machines, without the systems, the humans cannot do it. So so without proper governance and without proper policy, there will be chaos and the misuse of the data. So AI would be helpful to streamline everything. So you need the machines, obviously. We need the machine, because humans cannot, and even everyone cannot. Few only in the humans, only few users who are using the AI, they can use it. But the system should be such that even the people who are not um, means sound in the knowledge of AI, everything, they should be able to understand what is happening. So that's how the system will be able to develop the trust in the citizens. So that's how that is needed. So now that's why we need the AI. So what is the role of AI in the data governance? So the AI enhance the data governance. How does it do it? It automates the compliance checks and data categorization, and it also help data anomalies in the real time, prevent breaches. Like what happens, we have a lot of systems like the fraud detection in the banking system. Like if someone is multi-level factor systems are there. So without the use of machine, the humans cannot detect it, that if there is some anomalies are there, or someone is trying to phishing you. So with the help of AI, the government can decide that automate the thing, like the laws and everything are automatically being compiled or not, the policies are being properly followed or not, the laws are being followed or not. Or also they will be able to detect the anomalies, like some discrepancy is going to be happen, or some discrepancy is happening or not. Also they will be able to do the predictive analysis, like they will be able to see like this kind of systems or this kind of trends have been happened in the past. So they will be able to have those historical information that in the AI model, and based on that it will be able to predict that, okay, in this case we should be able to have this kind of advisories, or this kind of measures to protect this kind of threats or data breaches. So also we'll be able to able to have the data inside. The data is good or bad, or the traffic which is coming from behind, that is good or bad. Like, we have the firewalls in our PCs. So what the firewall do? It just prevent the bad data to come into your PC and just only allows the good data. So that's the thing. The AI would be helpful to work as a firewall, that it will, it will be able to prevent, or it will not will be, it helps now to prevent the threats from your system or from your servers or from your data, and also allows you user friendly data access and everything. So that's what the role of AI in the data governance. So now, what is the core principle of data privacy? So first of all, the transparency obviously means data transparency means the citizens should be able to know what data is collected, why it is collected, how it is going to be used. So these are three things which is discovered in the transparency, like whatever data is being collected by the government or the other agencies, and why you are collecting this data, means even it is useful or not for them, so you should know it, and also how they are going to use this data. So the means that's how the user will develop the trust in the AI governance and everything. Then second thing is accountability, like the decision, whatever is made by the AI and government and everything, it should be traceable. The people should know that if this wrongdoing has been happened, then this person was held responsible for this. So generally what happens with the AI, you are not able to, because that's highly encrypted and everything, and even the the people who are designing these things, they are not able to see properly what data is the form of data. So it should be traceable. Then the security, the third thing. So the AI systems and the data in the governance, everything, they should be able to safeguard our data breaches, and there should not be any unauthorized access. Like in the smart cities app, there is a lot of public transport uses there. So the and the what are they doing? They are accessing they are accessing the cars, the traffic and vehicles, and people who are moving on the by foot and everything. So they are tracking you. But the thing is, it should not track like that, that they are tracking the person by person. They should they should just call as a human, as a block, that this is a human. They should not do it like that. Okay, this is the following person, this that person, that person. You should not, the AI should not do it. So they should track it, but track it like this, that the humans or the government should not be able to see the particular thing, or the the features of the people, or the car numbers, or everything. So this is the kind of thing that it will help maintain the security in safeguarding the public data. So this will develop trust. Okay, they are being tracked, but not like that, their privacy is breached. So these are core principles of smart cities. So now, coming to this, the common privacy concern in smart cities, like first of all, data breaches. Like, you always know that there's an ample amount of data, and hackers are always there, and some bad people are always there who are just looking for your data. And the Facebook or the Google or YouTube, everything. You just type anything, and based on history, it just give you some ads. So that's what you have agreed upon whenever you are signing to the YouTube or the Facebook, because you have given them agreement that they will collect your data for third party uses, for the ads and everything. So but sometimes whatever happens for some apps, like in the malware or the trojans or everything, you install an app and it doesn't ask for a permission, and just secretly collect the data and send it to some hackers and everything. So that's called the data breaches. So you don't know what is happening, and it's secretly sending your data, like the trojans and the viruses are there in your systems. So these are the things. Also, in the surveillance, risks are there, because you are being monitored by the cameras. Your vehicles and everything are being monitored by the cameras. When does you go, and when does you come back, and what other things are there. So means, if someone want to have surveillance on you, some bad guys, or someone want to track your or monitor your day-to-day behavior, they can access that data and misuse it. So that's the privacy concern also. Like if you have a lot of data and you're smart city, everything is smart and connected with the system, and that's everything is stored on a network or a system or cloud. So any hacker can hack it, and just the whole system will be gone. The everything of every people in the city will be gone, and it will be in the hand of a hacker. So that's the biggest threat. You have seen a lot of movies in that how do they use this kind of this kind of things and everything. So yeah, the public you know mistrust is yeah, that's real. That we have seen a lot of movies and we know a lot of examples how the public data have been misused in the past. So I will just show you a small video about this. So just pardon me for this ad. It's the free YouTube. So yeah, so just listen this.
Excuse me, sir. Chetan, sir, you are not audible to us. Could you
So
yes.
I think you might have some idea. Like this is not a new issue that okay, privacy is going to be the biggest concern. Like you are right now
Chetan,
that you
actually, the video that you run, na, that
yeah.
audio was not available.
Oh
Yes.
Video
really?
that run, na,
Yes, yes, sir.
उसको audio नहीं आया था बिल्कुल भी. I
Oh
thought it was only video or what I we even don't understood.
okay. I I turned on the audio, but why it didn't happen, I don't know.
There
So
was no
but
audio.
that's why I turned on the subtitles. So I think it might have helped someone. No.
So
Uh,
let's just
I will
inform
share the
you something
presentation and
again
then
with the audio.
the
Na.
I don't know how the audio is not working.
Even audio wasn't audible to me also.
Okay, because for me, I turned on the audio and it was able to do it. I think some.
Might be yours. Like I don't know whether you can try again once again to run the video. Audio okay.
Okay, so what I will do, I will just share it on the YouTube. Just give me a moment. I will just share directly on the YouTube so that you'll be able to do it. Just
Right,
give me a moment. Yeah.
right.
I was just making my presentation and I liked it very much. So that's why I did it. Okay, this was really nice. Okay, let me just. No, sorry. Okay, let me share this with you. So,
Smart
is it
cities
working fine, Kamlesh? Are you having the audio?
are beginning to pop up all over.
Kamlesh?
Yes, it's audible, sir. It's audible now.
Okay, now we started.
Smart cities are beginning to pop up all over the planet. The definition of a smart city can vary, but basically, it's any city that is trying to create better services, operate more efficiently, and increase public safety by using new technology and collecting data from residents. And a lot of that can get picked up while you're walking down the street or driving your car. Cities are working on things like public Wi-Fi, better traffic management, driverless city buses, and kiosks that connect people with city events, nearby businesses, and emergency services, all helped along by information collected from residents. And that data can be extremely powerful.
It's more powerful than we might think, even of some of the social media that we're sort of obsessed about our privacy on right now, because it is picking up location. And when you map that out and sort of peg it to other data that's maybe you're putting out into the world, credit card records, that sort of thing, it tells a really sort of nuanced picture of the way that you're engaging with the world.
In a time where data can be breached by hackers or a backdoor left open for data thieves to walk in and ransack the place, some people are sounding the alarm on smart cities because of concerns about data privacy. And so the biggest question is, do we know how cities are protecting this data?
We don't have a ton of insight. There's not real sort of well-developed rules about how that data can be used.
The concerns range from the sharing of data between the different municipal agencies that collect it to the private companies and vendors that get involved in helping boost these tech advances.
A lot of times when we have this more advanced infrastructure, it's third-party companies that are coming in and actually supplying those services, and there's not a real well-developed set of rules around how these companies are actually protecting that data.
And this is a global issue. The city-state of Singapore plans to become a smart nation by collecting traffic data it says will help to protect residents. The government insists the data will be anonymous, and outside consultants will test the system's security for weaknesses. Google's parent company Alphabet is involved in working on Toronto's Smart City Initiative. It's having very public conversations with residents about how data is going to be used from the start.
There's a very spirited public conversation about Facebook and that sort of data. I think in 5-10 years, we're going to be having the same sort of spirited debate about cities and data.
Yeah, so I think you all might have got it that that's really a very big problem and challenge with data and the governments and all the agencies who are working in the field of smart cities and involving the AI management and everything. So means this is not a new thing for this might be a new thing for us, but not for the countries who are advanced. So are you able to see my presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So you see that's not a very big issue for us now, because we are not that much aware of the smart city concept and how the AI is going to be helpful in this. But yeah, if you are aware or if you are not, that doesn't matter, because your data is being collected by a lot of agencies, even the government or the Android phones or the iPhones or whatever things are there, your Facebook, your social profile, your WhatsApp, your tracking activities, your everything is being tracked. So right now means most of the people are using for good thing to help you have motor ads and everything. But yeah, if some hacker just breach it, then everything will be gone. So that's why you need the AI, because hackers are very good at being programming and everything, and they are right now they are using a lot of AI tools to hack your data. So we should be one step ahead of them to secure our data inside the servers. Ultimately, we cannot just avoid the AI and the have innovative solutions in our life. So we cannot avoid that. So what we can do, we can have more protection on that and better policies. So the thing, what are the different technologies which will, help the data governance? So there are, three key technologies which we right now having. So first of all, is the machine learning. So what is the machine learning? What does it do? We have some historical data, we have real-time data, we just train our models, and because of model, we know what data is good, what data is bad. So like we know in the we'll do some earlier directions, or we do some fraud analysis, like, okay, this is not good, this is good, this is going outside of some limits. So the machine learning tell us that if there is some data anomalies are there. So that's how they just tell, okay, this data or this traffic which is coming, or this user, whatever is using your access, trying to access the server, is not looking good, is looking suspicious. So the machine learning may be helpful to protect you from those bad guys, like the firewall do in your system. Then second thing is blockchain. So what does the blockchain do? It is like, we just know the blockchain in terms of the cryptocurrency, but no, your banks and everyone, even the other agencies, or a lot of people are using blockchain. What does blockchain do? It is a tamper proof ledger. Like, whenever you see, whenever you just log into your banking website, internet banking, everything, so you just click, type your username, password, just hit enter, and on the top URL you see a very long digit code is there. It never share directly your username, password, even though the system need your username, password from you to access your profile, but it is not directly transferring your username, password to the URL. It is encrypting your username, password in different formats, so that even though some hacker want to access the data, it doesn't have your information. So that's the blockchain is there. Means it's not properly blockchain, but a blockchain is a different kind of thing. Like, it works similarly like we do. So the thing, it is a temporary ledger. So they have the data, but they don't know whose data is that. So that's the thing. So you can access the data by using your credentials, like your username, password. But the people who are unknown, like hackers, everyone, they cannot see it. They can see the data, but they don't know whose data is that. So they cannot use it. So that's the thing. So blockchain is a very big tool in the data governance. Then the federated learning. So what is the federated learning? It is, it allows the AI models to learn from the data, and without even leaving the data at source. Like, uh, they have your traffic data, they have your every data they are having from you, but they don't know the particular person from whom the data is generated. So they have the data, they can work on that, but ultimately data is encrypted, so they would not having the particular person information. And so that's how it is being good for you. So machines are having the data, but that is in encrypted form. So the normal human who want to misuse data, they will not be able to use it, and machine will have the data to learn it, and help you to be more innovative, more creative, fast, and energy efficient, also protect you. So that's how the things goes on. So like, for example, if we use a blockchain for energy data, to secure energy data, and so it can be used by multiple agencies. Like, energy data is shared with different kind of grids, different kind of industries, everything. So that is being shared, but it's shared in using the blockchain, so that they have the data, but they will not be able to see from where the data is coming. Also, like in the hospitals, they have the patient data, everything there, the history of medical records, everything, their credit cards, their banking details, everything they are having. But it have to be, it is generally secured by the blockchain, everything, so that they will have the patient data to understand and learn from the data, but they will not be able to see which patient is that. Fine, and their payment information, they will not be able to see it. So that's how that's the federated learning, because they are having the laws and everything to have data access without breaching your privacy. So the thing, like in the video also you saw, because the Singapore is doing a lot in the smart cities, and they are using it quite efficiently, and people are able to build the trust in this. Because the thing, it's general thing that if you just suddenly apply the AI in the smart cities, everything, and just try to collect data, and you tell the people that, okay, we are collecting your data, the people are not going to trust you always. That's fine. So trust develops slowly. So government should ensure that you are having these data management things there, and let the people trust build without being failed. Like if if the government is doing like that, and people are thinking that their data is being breached so many times, then they will lose the trust. So ultimately the government should slowly infuse these things in your life, in your system, and help the people build their trust by ensuring that no data or their private life is being misused. So that's how the people just trust it. So like we have the example of Singapore. They are using, means they are going to be the smart nation. They are having the smart nation initiative. Like they'll have the data of each and everyone. Like in the COVID-19, in the 2020, uh, like what was happening, you have that app. I am just forgetting the name of that app. Like you were able to see that in within this many of this radius, there is a COVID patient is there. So if you have been contacted, then you will be warned. But you will not be, you were not able to see the information of that person, but only that thing the information you required. So uh, where can anyone please help me to recall the name of that app which was there during COVID? That was really superb thing. Like that's the smart governance, that they are having your data, they are having the location, everything, but you are not able to see which person was that. So anyone knows the name of that app was there in the COVID-19? Uh,
Arogya Setu.
yeah, that was really, I really like that kind of concept. That's the that's the AI, that's the thing, that's the data governments. You see how beautiful was that? Means you were able to see that how close you are to an infected person, or you have been contacted with the person or not, but you were not able to see that. Means it was protecting the privacy, that okay, you are not having the information of that person. So you see how beautiful is that? So that's how you are having the trust on that app, Arogya Setu. So these are really very good initiatives to build the trust of citizens in in the data governance. So like in the traffic patterns, so how did the Singapore do? It just have the smart sensors and the remotes and cameras, everything. These are track the amount of the vehicle or number. Let's say in this red light there are 10 vehicles are there, so they are not going to access the nameplate of that vehicles. They just see 10 vehicles are passing in from this light in 10 seconds. So that's data they are going to use to regulate traffic. So they will not collect the data like which cars or who was the owner of the car. So that's the thing. So they are going to use the data for the purpose only they use that they wanted. So they are not going to collect the data unnecessarily. Like, so that's the data government's help. So the citizens should know what data they are collecting and why they are collecting. So they just need the data to train their model to have the smart traffic management. So they just collect the data, that how many cars, how many trucks, how many pedestrians were there, not the information. So that's how the transparency should be there in the system. So that's the thing. I think you are able to means get my point. So that's how the system would be more secure and more efficient. So so the framework for the ethical AI. So ethical AI means the themes should be ethical. So ethical, I am again saying this, that ethics is very a complicated word. It just varies from person to person, government to government, and everything. Some might say that we are breaching their privacy so that we can have more secure borders, and we can prevent the terrorism and everything. And they might be misusing the data, but sometimes they are not having your data, and then you are being at loss. You're not growing. You're not, your banks are being failed, your economy is being down, but they are not doing anything to have the advancement. And they are not having data protection, they are not having AI, they are not having any governments, and they are not using smart tools to protect you from the hackers and from others. So there should be the balance. So you have to grow, but grow to maintain the ethics. So there is some global standards are there, like GDPR, that's called General Data Protection Regulation. Although it is it was uh, initiated by the European unions, but that's it is now working as a global standard for the data protection. Also there is a OECD, the AI principle. So these are the human centered AI principle, and that encourage the accountability and the transparency. So ultimately, the what are the ethical principles in the field of smart cities? So they are the fairness, that you should know the data should be unbiased and inclusive. What do you mean by inclusive? That it should not do like that they are just collecting the data from certain specific people and leaving the other people. Like they should not uh, They should not work like that. They are going for the enrichment, or the growing of the people from a certain background, or certain race or ethnicity, but they should be for everyone. So they should be unbiased and inclusive. Then there should be transparency, that AI decision and everything should be transparent and explainable. The thing, they should know that people, each and everyone should be able to know that they have collected this data, and this data is being used from this, and people should know who was behind that. Okay, so and then in that inclusivity, that everyone, all citizens, irrespective of their race, religion, or their economic background, or their city or state, whatever things they are, it should be equally applicable to each and everyone. So these are the ethical principles. So fairness, the transparency, and the inclusivity. So these are the things which should be there. So that's how you are going to make your system trustworthy, inclusive, and that will be efficient for your urban ecosystem. So that's how these things work. So now the point comes, then how can we ensure that AI ensure the privacy compliance? So what we know, we always have such kind of tools, like whenever you go to the bank and you want to try to withdraw the money. So in the earlier time, you have to sign a form, and sign it, make your money, and your bank, the bank manager or the teller, he or she just verify your signatures and give you the money. So there's the thing. So we are already using these kind of things, but the thing, in the because we are having a ample amount of data, and their population is very, very high, to make the system secure, the things have to be advanced. So first thing is, like, we have the differential privacy. So what happens, that like they will have your data, but data will be encrypted. Like whenever you go to the bank, like like in the iPhones, what you do, or in the Android phone, what you do, you just scan your finger, it just give you access. Fine. So it have your fingerprint data, but that fingerprint data is only stored in your personal mobile. It is not shared with the Apple or Android or Google. So that's the thing. They are having the data to have you easy access, but ultimately they are the people, or the agencies. They are not having your private data. Like in the iPhone, you are having face data. You can just unlock your phone with your face features, everything. So but they are not having your face reading and everything stored in their system. It is locally stored in your iPhone or your phone, Android phone. So that's the differential privacy. So they have the data, but they encrypt it in such a manner that no one else is able to use that. Then comes in the form of homomorphic encryption. So what has happened? So that's really a game changer privacy policy. So you know. What happens, so it is what is happening, like the machines and AI and everyone, they need the data to process and learn the things, and have training on them for better predictions, for sustainability and smart cities, everything. So ultimately what is happening, they encrypt the data such a way that no one else is going to use it, but the machine need the data decrypted. So it decrypt also, like ultimately what is happening to the banking servers, like you are using username password, it is going to a server online, encrypted. Then where bank servers are there, it is again decrypted, like it is again converting them in the form of username password, so that bank server can know this is the user who want to access that. So that encrypting, decrypting should be have very high standards, so that in between it is not used by some unethical users. See, so that is a homomorphic encryption. Like it can be encrypted properly, and it should be decrypted properly without any breach. Then the third thing, that how can we ensure the privacy is, we can have the AI driven compliance audits. Like always, we have the audits in the companies, in the colleges, also schools, also, that how the systems are going on. So in this thing, like we have like if some certain agency have develop some AI tools and everything for data governance, then third party independent agency should be able to monitor the data uses, and it should also be able to flag if some violations are there. So that's why we are having the audits, annual audits are there. We have in your institutions everywhere, so that's why the audits are there, so we can have the same audits for the the data governance also. So I think this will be very, very helpful to to be proactive in the privacy management, and it will be helpful to build the trust in the citizens. And we will be able to grow together without compromising our privacy. So that's ultimately how AI can ensure the privacy compliance. So we cannot do these things without the AI, without the machines. Humans cannot do this. So that's the thing. So ultimately, there is a balancing surveillance and the citizens right. Ultimately, if you want to grow, then the data is required, even if you want it or not, because the technology is stuck like that people are doing in the 6G or 5G, or in the fighters, or everything is there. So if we don't match up with the world, then we are going to be lag behind a lot, and the people are just going to just make us like in the stone age. But we don't want that. So to be at par with the global competition, we have to have the data. But ultimately, what should happen? There should be the surveillance on the surveillance on the users, not surveillance like that, but surveillance of their activities and everything. And also they should also protect the citizens' rights. So what is the role of surveillance in the small cities? Like we should have enhance the security through the real-time monitoring also. And there should be smart traffic management, there should be smart grids and everything. But ultimately, what is happening, we should be also able to identify the suspicious activities, that like the threats, or some accidents happens, then it should be able to help to call the everything for the users, but without breaching their privacy. So to balance these, we should have some ethical surveillance practices, such as we have to anonymize the data. Like, data should be there, but data should be in that form, like we should not be able to access it directly, that whose user is that. Also, there should be strict policy for oversight and transparency of the data use. Like, what happens, most of you are the faculties, and you might have worked, and might have run the in the checking of the end semester or the final year or 12th or 10th and answer sheets. So what happens, they just remove the first page of the student, and you just have to check everything. So they just give a code, so that code is encryption. So the boards are doing, they are having the data with them, but they are encrypted data for you, so that you will not be able to track whose student copy is this. So you will be able to assess the marks properly. So we are doing these things, but ultimately it should be ethical. Like, what is happening, that the boards know whose code is this. So if some person in the board is already corrupt, and he or she knows that, okay, this copy is going to be that person, even though that encrypted with some codes, means that guy is going to be have good marks and everything. So yeah, this kind of ethical practice should be there. So someone in the government, or someone who has designed the system itself is not ethical, then it is going to be very, very bad for the any AI system or anything. So now I will have one more poll for you. So I will just share the link with you also. So just give me a moment. Okay, I want to share the link with you, so you can just click on the link and do this. So the question is about, how do you feel about surveillance technology in smart cities? So, first thing, acceptable, but only with strong privacy safeguards. So, but the thing, there should be there should be balance. If you have much higher standard of safeguard, then the government will not be able to collect the data. So there should be the balancing. Like, if they want more data, then they should have some scope of collecting data. There should be some scope of having mode of collecting the data, the more data. So if they have more rules, then they will have the less data. If they have less rules, then they have more data. So means let me know that how do you think about it? Which should be the best? You want more advancement with less privacy, or lesser advancement with high privacy, or you don't know what should be? Means just give me your choice and everything, that whatever you think. So okay, so okay, strong, a strong, everyone is thinking about strong, but with strong, like we have, like in the Windows, everything, whenever you turn off firewall, or whenever you have very strong antivirus system, you are not able to install even the software which are legitimate, which are already bought by you. They just uh, flag that as a as virus. You see that, these things are happening. So if you have very strong antivirus, it is flagging, or it will not let you install even the software which are legitimate. So uh, there should be mm, balance. I know that you are I think that you are getting me. So necessary security even at the cost of privacy. Oh, really? Okay. That's good. Acceptable not, but only with strong privacy guardrail, necessary security, even at cost of privacy. These are two things separate, quite distinct answers. Okay, 58, 42%. So people already need for the security, even the cost of privacy. Okay, that's good. And yeah, intrusive and should be limited. No one has clicked on this. I don't know why. Intrusive means, yeah, there should have some access, but it should be limited. Intrusive and means there should be some intrusion, like they should have some data, but that should be limited, like that. So it's kind of like that. And if you are unsure, then that's fine. Okay, so these are means two separate, two very distinctive answers. You have selected 62 and 38%, like stable, but only with strong privacy safeguards, necessary security, even at the cost of privacy. That's good. So yeah, that's what we have always two poles. So whenever smart city and the AI data governance will happen in our city, then this kind of challenges the government will have to face. Some people will say we need more safeguards. Some people are going to say no, we don't need. We want security first. So there will be two poles. Okay, so this tells us the story. Good, thank you for your active participation in this. So this you can also analyze this data. So that's the transparency. I am collecting the data from you, but I don't know who is having what option. But you see, what my purpose of having this data, that to know that how you are going to act whenever this kind of policy is going to happen in your city. So you see, that's the safety and trust. So you are having the trust on system, because I don't have the data from each and every from individual person, because I have anonymized it. So I don't know which user clicked on which thing. But I also have the data which can be used by the government and everything. So that's the transparency should be there. So I think you are able to get it. So yeah, thank you. So now, ultimately, what should be there? Because ultimately, the data governance should be citizen-centric. What is citizen-centric? Like, ultimately, who is providing data to the government? It's the users, it's the citizens who are giving the data to the government, and we are the stakeholders. So ultimately, what happens? It should not be the government who should own the data. It should be the citizen who should own the data. So what is happening with this? Like, you should be able to select or deselect the data type you want to share with the government, which you don't want to share it. So it will be from the transparency. So you should be able to know what data is being collected, what data is going to be collected by the government, and why this data is going to be collected, and how this data is going to be used. So if you see that some private information is being collected government, you can just uncheck it. No, I don't want to share it. So that's how That goes with the citizen-centric model. Even though if you have clicked yes and you are agreed with the government with the data privacy models and everything disclosures, but after that even you should have the full control on the data, like in the Facebook or Google or uh, everywhere you have the right to delete your every data, all the cache memory and everything. You have the right to delete your account, you have the right to delete your history, and the even the Facebook and these agencies, they will not be able to have the access of the data even if you have deleted it. So think they are in the Western countries and everywhere they are already far ahead of us. So they have attorneys and the policy makers and everything, so that they can save their neck in the case of any mishappening. So they know everything, that if the people they are following the data governance and everything already. So this is our turn now, our government now, that they should be able to do this in our country, in our cities. So first of all, it should be able to build the trust of the citizens. Then it should be like in the participatory government, like government should involve the citizens in the decision making, not like you share data and government is taking all the decision. No, the government should be able to tell the people that we are collecting this data and this data is going to use this. Do you agree with this or not, or do you need some modification in that? So you are going to just share your thoughts and comment, and if there are 1 million or 100,000 people and they are not going to 1 lakh or 10 lakh or 4 crore people, and they are just sharing their views, then they means even in the number of years no one would be able to read and analyze the data without the machines. So the data would be analyzed with the AI powered machines, and the government can have the better decisions. Also after implementation of this data governance, we have the AI powered dashboard. What is this? Like what happens? Like I shared the data with you, I access the I had this question answer with you, and you were able to see your answers and your output. So that's the AI powered dashboard. It means you should be able to see, if you shared your data with me, then what happened with the data. So that's the AI powered dashboard. So you see, you were able to see the insight of the data. Or ultimately, there should be the shared responsibility between the government and the citizens. Fine. So it should not like that. Okay, if some breach is there, then entirely the government will be responsible for this, or the public will be responsible for this. So ultimately, it should be shared responsibility. Like we all are, equally responsible to have grow our city or grow our country and manage the data properly, and protect us from the breaches or any kind of insecurity. So that's the shared responsibility. So now coming to the challenges of implementing the AI-driven governments. So ultimately, the first thing, like in my first poll, around 50%, 40% people said that cost of implementation is really really big challenge. So yeah, obviously it is. So that's the high cost and the complexity. So these AI tools and everything, even if you buy a simple system, it doesn't a good system, it comes in a price of 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs, like where you play your games with the GPUs and everything. So to analyze the data for the full population, and that's the ample amount of data, you need very big systems and servers and supercomputers, everything. So and a very high skilled personals to analyze and access the data. So and the system will be really really complex. So in the terms of legacy systems and everything. So the thing there will be very high cost, and there will be very high level of complexity. That's a challenge, obviously. Then there will be the algorithmic bias. So what is this? So the thing like some there is some bias in the data. Like if data is collected from only certain kind of people, then the model would be trained on that certain kind of people only. So it will not work better for the people whose data is not available with you. So that model is not good. So model is biased, so it will always result in the favor of certain kind of people. So ultimately what is happening? So that's ultimately, if you are not having the data, but that's a machine. So whatever data you give it to it, it will give you a decision based on that data. So the thing it is, if it is not having the data of certain kind of people or certain kind of traffic, it is not going to give you the good results. So ultimately there is the algorithmic bias. So So we should have, that's a big challenge. So then public resistance, like, you see in the video, like people are panicking that why our data is being shared in smart cities and these things. So that's resistance, because in India we are not facing it because people don't know what is happening. So ultimately, after 5 to 10 years, whenever the smart cities and data governance kind of things are going to happen, then obviously there will be severe resistance, even though if everything is going to be, going to clear by government and everything, and it is in the good faith of the public. We have always the politics and everything is there, so even if you apply something, the people are there who are going to oppose it. So it's everywhere, not in the India, it is in every kind of country. But because we have big population, so even if 0.1% people do it, we see a lot of people are doing it. So the thing that's the thing differentiate us from other countries. Like agitations happens everywhere, but there means even 0.1% is a lot. So we see a lot of people, a lot of crowd there. We see that okay, the resistance is happening, but we don't see that 99.9% people are sitting at home and they don't really care about these things. So these kind of things are happening. So to have this, to apply anything, any system in a country like ours, India, we should have better awareness system, and we should engage the people to make the people aware everything. But yeah, ultimately it is going to be very big fight for even the government if it try to do a good thing, or whatever they want to do. And then there already legal and regulatory gaps are there. So we don't have, like you see in the video, still in the Western countries, everything, they don't have the proper laws to help the system to cope up, to match with the speed of advancement. So without legal framework, you cannot apply and adopt any system in any kind of city. So the and you cannot have the universal kind of regulations and everything to have this. So every city, even every state, every country would have certain kind of different regulations in this AI data governance. So that's going to be very, very challenging for help for implementing these kind of things in any country, not even in India. So now coming to this, the risk management of AI in the data governance, like we can have the regular AI audits, like I told earlier, like we can have the private neutral third party agencies, we can have the audits like we have in the companies, and they can see that okay, in this kind of scenario there have been some kind of flaws, some kind of violations, and it can be aligned with the system development, and the system can be updated. Then that's the biggest thing, the explainable AI. That's the AI which can be explained, like what happens, I don't know how many guy of you are in the modeling and everything, like what happens with the deep learning and artificial intelligence means we do the modeling and everything, but we don't know how the model works, what is the physics behind that, or what are the factors which are really governing to that answer. So now that's a new technology which is called the explainable AI, which tells you if the outcome is like this, then what are the factors are behind that, and how these factors are impacting these kind of things. So this explainable AI means I use this also in my latest paper in the groundwater sustainability, everything, that how it just tell us how the groundwater is being affected by which factors, and which factors have been how much weightage. So like that, explainable AI will reduce the ambiguity in this automated task and everything. So we it will be traceable. Then we have the fail safe mechanism, like always what happens whenever we automate any task, we should not leave everything on the machines. Ultimately, if something happens, some crash happens, everything, we should be able to fall back to manual mode, like we always are doing. So means it should be fail safe. Like if something happens, machines are not working, power is down, or some failures are happening, then we should be able to take the control back in our hands. So that's a fail safe. Then there should be continuous monitoring. Like whenever you are taking the decisions, everything is there, then you should collect the real-time data, and it should be able to detect the anomalies, like say something dangerously shifting is there, or some unknown things happening in the system. Then you should be able to trace it, continuously monitor it, and have minimize the risk. Now again, what the tools we are having for the data security. So we have, IDS, which are the intrusion detection systems. So how does they work? They just, network, they just scan the network traffic and flag the suspicious activities and try to, prevent it. So, and it isolate the system which are compromised. Like, whenever uh, some system or some traffic is having, threat, it just like the firewall, it just, prevent your system from accessing that kind of bad websites and everything. Then we can have the predictive threat analysis, like based on the historical data, we can analyze that, okay, this, if this kind of traffic is happening on the internet, or if this kind of user trying to access this, then the AI is going to prevent it from accessing, because it have already predicted that this kind of activities can have, can breach your data and everything. Then there can be the dynamic access control. So, the AI users and everything, they should have, real time monitoring and everything on their behavior. So it can, and it should always be able to, prevent the unnecessary access. Say, means it should be only allow the user who are really, legitimate, and it should prevent the the hackers and everything. So these are the, we have the dynamic access control, which let only the users which are real, and which have the credentials properly to access the website, and it prevents, the unauthorized users. Also, we have the data masking and encryption, like I told you, like, whenever you type your username password, is encrypt the data in some kind of codes and everything, and it decrypt the data at the banking servers. So it masks your data, and it also do the encryption, so that, the people or the evil guys will not be able to, have your data access. So now, I already told you, the example of Singapore. Now also the Barcelona. Barcelona is doing very, very good thing in the terms of data governance. Like, it is the global leader in the data transparency and, citizen first government. So it is citizen centric. So it treats the data as a public goods. Public means it's the property of the public, not the government. So that's what Barcelona do. So if the government think like that, that data is the property of public, not the government, then it will do, justice with the data. So public is the rightful owner of the data, not the government. So government is just using data to help the public. So government is not the owner of the data. So that's what it should think. Then also, it should have, AI power data inside. Like, AI should anonymize the data before sharing with stakeholders, like even with the government. So you share the data, AI just encrypt it and everything, so that, even the government or anyone access it, it should have not have the, the complete look on the data, and only the things which is useful for their decision making. So it will, enhance the transparency, and it will maintain the data privacy, and it will have it have, the application is smart cities. Like, but what is Barcelona doing? It is using these kind of AI and everything in the urban mobility, in the smart waste management, energy distribution, and, and they have also collaboration with, a lot of startups, a lot of NGOs and everything, researchers and developers, to have the innovation in this. Also they are having, third party audits to maintain, the system transparent, and evolve it whenever there is some error is there. So that's kind of Barcelona is really a good example for us to have the data governments. So and now, I think we are getting, oh, it's already 24, fine. Okay, so now the impact of AI data governance on urban efficiency. So what will happen? You already know that, okay, if we have the AI driven government, then what we can do, we can have the real-time traffic management. Like, if some like, you just try the Google map and just put a location where you want to go. It just tells you best route based on the EAT. Fine. So it just tells you which area is having the traffic jam and everything. So you can have that's a Google map. So it's not managing the traffic. It just tell you which area is having more traffic, so you should avoid that route. But in this kind of thing, we can manage the traffic. We are not can the, like, a lot of cities, a lot of countries are doing this. So they are managing the traffic in the real time and diverting the traffic, so that it can avoid the more traffic congestion. Also in the, smart grids and everything, we are using the AI to have the energy optimization, to have, reduce the losses, and having the safe grids. Also, we are using this for implement the public services, like we have the health card and have it everything. So the health data, like what happens whenever you go to different doctor, he do all the tests again. And if you are not satisfied, you go to different doctor, and he or she does the test again. So that's very bad for us. So means the data, everything should be shared on the public cloud, and that can be exchanged with the doctor or whatever the things are there, so that you don't have to redo again the process. So that's the improved public services. And with this we can improve the sustainability, and we can have more positive impact on environment. We can reduce our carbon footprints, and we can have better urban planning, and a more greener future. So that's the thing. That's the AI driven governments will do. So now coming to this emerging trends of AI. So FCI, I will tell you that it will help you to tell that whatever is happening, how this is happening, and what are the factors are behind this. So it will be transparent to the users. Then coming to digital twins. So what is happening, like let's say in the city of Jodhpur, like you want to have some smart city innovations, but you are not going. You can do this. Okay, apply this first. Wait for 10 years and see the results. You can do that. So what does digital twin do? It just replicate your entire city in the model, and you just do the counterfactual analysis. Like you just put, okay, if you are going to change this, what is going to happen after 10 years? So that's digital twin. So it will tell. So you have the AI model or machine model of your entire city on the system, and you can apply some kind of decisions, and you can see the real time impact that okay, it is going to be happening after 5-10 years if we have the decision. So that's really a big thing. That's a trend in the AI, in the data government. So blockchain integrated AI, I already told you that blockchains enhance the security multifold. So it just make your data tamper proof, and it just improve the transactions, it just prevent the hacks and hacking everything. And AI is very, very helpful in sustainability, because you just use to reduce the manufacturing based on demand. You also help to recover it. You also see that whatever are the recyclable materials because of the AI sorted roboting and everything. So means you can do a lot of things with the AI means, and it is being happened in a lot of countries in the cities. So it is not like a fiction movie. So now coming to this policy recommendation. So we should have the clear AI governance framework. Like we have already the GDPR and OECD AI principles, so we should have similar kind of things in our smart cities also. We have so many smart cities, but I don't think we have such kind of governments policies, and the framework is there. And second thing, we should encourage the public private partnership. Like if we have the PPP mode, we have a lot of things are there. Like if we don't have relationship between the government and the companies and the people and the research and everything, we will not be able to apply any system properly. So we should the government should look for the collaborations with the public, with the NGOs, with the startups, with the academia and everything, to have better management of the city, better decisions. And then you should promote the citizen awareness to reduce the resilience from the public, which might happen after 5-10 years if we have some kind of AI policy and rule in our cities or in our country. So, and also ultimately the research. So the research which is going to happen in Singapore or in Barcelona or any European country, it is not going to help you in your city, because ultimately your city type is different, your city demand is different, your city public is different, population different. So the thing, if you don't invent too much in the AI infrastructure, then without research you are not going to have the better tool properly tuned for your city. So you should invest much in the AI research and everything. The China, it started investing in the research in 1970. That's why it is now seeing the impact of that research in 2010. So the thing, you do the research now, you invest good money in the research and everything, then you see the impact of the research in after 10, 20, 30, 50 years. So you can just sit and like, okay, we are doing my involving. So we can infuse the money now and just wait for the result tomorrow. So it just take time. So means we should have a lot of money in your R&D budget. The thing now coming to the roadmap, how are we going to implement the AI governance? So first of all, we should ultimately assess the system, whatever we are having currently. So we should have the current infrastructure, and are these secure, and are they ready for uh, innovation, for implementation of the AI governance, and if there is some gaps are there, identify them, and are the data is going to be centralized or decentralized. So a lot of things are there. We should know what system we are having and identify the gaps. The second thing, then we should know the why we are going to have this kind of AI governance. So there should be clear goal that these are going to be things which we are going to do in the AI governance. Then we can have the pilot AI projects, like we have the gaps, we have the objective, then with the collaboration and everything, we can have the AI projects, and run it on the pilot AI projects base, and you see how this is happening. And if it is happening for good, then we can scale up and monitor. And after monitoring everything going good, then is engage the stakeholders and remember the system, again modify it. If something's happening wrong, then incorporate the innovative policy, change your decisions, change your regulations, then again do it. So it's ever changing. But yeah, ultimately we should start these things happening in our country first. Now now the outlook means future. So what is going to the future? So the thing, the AI driven governments, what is going to do? So it is going to make your city really smart and promising. So you will have uh, every city will have some personalized services, like your public transport system will be personalized, your waste disposal will be personalized, like it will be really only and only for you. The routes, the transportation, everything will be personalized, so that you will have own system for your city. So that's the AI power personalization. Now there will be uh, global data governance standards, like we have miss OECD and other policies are there, but ultimately there should be some global standard that at least this country, this city should be forcing, should be having this kind of minimum standards to follow the AI governance. So there should be some global standards should be there. Also, there should be advancement in the secure AI, means AI technologies. Like it should be more robust. Like we are already doing some quantum computing, everything. But in recently, some researchers based in China, they are able to hack the banking level of encryption. They are able to hack that system and break the password within 5 to 10 minutes, which were not possible without quantum in the many years. So with the quantum computing, everything they are able to do in the 5 to 10 minutes. So the thing, they are able to access the 128-bit encryption. So means if you don't have the AI and latest technology in your system, then ultimately your government is going to be fail. Means they must have your banking, your finance, economy, everything is going to be down, because people are going smart. If you not don't get smart, then you will be nowhere. Again, then you should with these things you should be focus on citizen centric model. So the government should say that okay, it means whatever they are developing, it is the property of the citizens. So government should do the data analysis and do the good for the people, but ultimately it should not own the data. So the people should be the owner of the data. They should be able to make corrections, or they should be able to delete the data, omit the data, whatever they want to do with it, they should be able to do it. Now okay, so this is, I think I shared with okay, that's fine, we'll just have this tool later. Fine. So now the coming to the conclusion. So now the key takeaways from this presentation, like AI. Obviously, we need this AI powered government. We need the smart cities, everything. Otherwise, we will be nowhere, because every other country is working in this, and they are going to come and hack your system and just take all your money and make your economy down. So we have to use the AI. But ultimately, how should we use it? We should have the smart, you know analysis, the collaboration between the governments should have the privacy, and it should be ethical practices should be entrusted, and it should be the citizen centric model, it should be scalable, it should be secure, and it should be explainable to trace the the people behind that. And also it should prioritize the sustainability, because if it is sustainable, then it is going to end, because the resources are limited. So what is the call to action? So with the thing, how can we ensure cities leverage AI responsibly? Like I have the poll and everything with you. So some of you told that, okay, we should have the highest level of security in our system, even though your data is being shared or not. But the thing, some people say no, we should have means we can have least security, but our data should be shared. So the thing, there should be the balancing with these things. So now I am, I'm just concluding this here. So thank you for this. Now I am ready for the question answers. I am already late by 6 minutes. That's fine. So I am now ready for the questions and the discussions, and yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Chetan, for this session. You well highlighted all the issues and the very common issue with the data privacy. Government can definitely implement many plans, but to secure the data and to secure the privacy of its citizens is the most highlighted issue. And we are also getting some messages from the audience. Let us observe them.
Yeah.
Ashish Radda has raised the hands. Let me give them the access to microphone and video. Okay. Yes. So microphone and video access is there. You may directly ask your question.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
Dr.
Dr.
Yeah, am I
Ashish.
audible?
Yes, you are audible. You are audible. Dr. Ashish, you can also
Thank you, sir.
open your mic, open your video if it is possible for you. If it is
Yes, sir.
convenient, you can also on
Um,
your video so that we may have some feedbacks.
First of all, thank you, Chetan sir, for such a nice presentation and wonderful explanation. Um, Now, as you also discussed while presentation, that apart from government policies, the data is actually of citizen, it is for citizens. So, while using the AI, means I want to just, and you also told that citizens should use this with the means wisely. So, I am also agree with that. That okay, AI is technology is there, but policies are there. But we can utilize for our convenience, but with the proper means sometimes with the wiseness.
Yes, sir. That's really true and everything. Ultimately, you are already using a lot of AI tools like Facebook and these things, and uh, the people just you use the you miss people are using UPI and everything. So if you are not vigilant, then the people are going to have your money. So there have been a lot of scams like from the UPI, everything. UPI and these things are for your good, but also if because that's your data, that's your banking data and everything. So if you're not vigilant, then people are going to misuse it. So that's the thing. That's with the AI driven governments also. So yeah, that's really nice comment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So
So we have question from Girlappi Pallai. I'm extremely sorry. Shravan Chandra.
Very good evening, and
Sorry for the
it was a
pronunciation.
very interactive session from Dr. Chetan sir. My query is like how to attain a balanced this thing like between security as well as privacy in a country like India. Is it feasible for us? Like every time we'll be in the developing stage only when it matters regarding that advancement in the technology. So I would like to the thoughts from your end.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your message. This is really a nice question, and it is, it is a point of debate. But I think, we are already doing this. Whenever you use the UPI or whenever you use any banking services, the thing is, there are some cases are happening where the scammers are using your data, or they are just making the people fool or taking their advantage. But I think they're only the fraction of cases, only 0.1 to 0.2% is, but other 19% of the time the people are aware, and government is having a lot of encrypted services so that your data is secure. So we are already using it, we are having the experience of these things. So means we are not going to the thing, we should go step by step, like I told you, 5 steps in which we should be able to do it. So first of all, we should see what kind of system we are having, then we should find the gaps, and the objective should be clearly defined, that what the government want to do or what the citizens want to do. Then what is happening with the pilot project. So you are going to have pilot project and means do it on a city to city or only a small area basis, or you can use the digital twin and everything, analyze that, work then on a pilot project basis 5 to 10 years, because the AI in smart city is not going to happen in the next year or 2 year, 3 year. It slowly is getting into your system. So yeah, you have ample of time to improve your systems, improve your thing, and always ready for some kind of failure. So always there, because in every country, here also in the US, millions of users social security data have been leaked, millions of users telephone data have been leaked, even though you think that it is so advanced and so thing, and so many things are there, but no, they are doing. Even army area have been leaked in some countries. So yeah, you should be ready for some kind of these are threats, and it will always happen. So don't just be discouraged, like, okay, if something happens, what is going to do. But ultimately, as a whole, I mean, most of the cases, more than 90% of time, it is going to be useful for you. So we should be we cannot be 100% succeed in everything, but yeah, even if we are doing good, we are growing, then that's fine, the system is doing good. Yeah, but failure will always be there, so means don't worry about that. But yeah, the objective should be clearly defined. Otherwise, if you don't have clear picture in your mind that why do you want this system, then it is going to fail. So that's what my advice is there. But yeah, the failure would be there, that's certain, means some kind of things would be there, it's always there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask the question? Mic is open to all. The stage is set.
Yeah, so I can
Sir,
see the
Hello. Hello.
yeah.
Sir, Pragati here from Nagpur.
Yeah.
I just answer. I am a professor at in computer science and engineering department here, and I want to know that you show the roadmap of how the system will get implemented, and you involve the stakeholders at the last. Okay,
Yeah.
that may be not you, but you have just shown that image. But as per our country, we first of all involve the stakeholders, and from that point of view we try to implement the system. And one more thing I want to ask you is I was just searching for the various proposal that the government has already initiated in this direction, but many of these proposal are not in progress yet. So is there any
Mhm.
specific reason for India that they are not getting implemented?
Yeah, that's really a wonderful question, and thanks for a comment on that. That why I use the stakeholders last. So the thing, ma'am, what is happening? That's not the last. The thing, the ultimately the data is coming from the people. So what we do, we just find the what is happening in our system, then whatever the gaps are there, we just have some pilot projects, and from just certain kind of people only, from a certain city or from certain kind of groups, then we have the pilot projects, and then we run a model for some time, when I run a policy for some time, then we implement it, then we have the feedback from all the stakeholders. Like ultimately this is ever involving system. So like what we do in our institutions, we just develop like a curriculum, we run it, we then have the feedback from the stakeholders that it is good or bad, like from the industries, from the students, from the parents, from everything, then we revise it. So that's the same thing, like I use stakeholders last, because their feedback would be required to have the modification and to grow the system for the better. So that's ultimately if you want to have the data governance, the ultimately first input should be come from the public, from the people. So that's the only small fraction of data on which the model is developed. Then we can scale it up based on feedback from the other stakeholders. So that's what I was doing. Also, like you told, you just informed that government is having a lot of policies for data governance and everything, and we are not able to implement it. And that's that depends on the the importance which the government want to give. So that's the priorities ultimately. So Indian government might have a lot of other priorities which are more important than these kind of things ultimately, because we are 5 to 10 years lagging in this kind of data governance and everything. So the government have to decide based on which area need more priority than these kind of things. So also the government afraid of there is also resistances there. You see a lot of resistance in lot of good projects and everything, like in the Narmada and everything. You have seen a lot of resistance are always there. But so to just go around and around and don't do anything, there is better than doing something and keep these things hold when other important things have been settled down. So I think that's why the government is not doing taking the steps, because it is going to open again a Pandora hole. So and the government will not be able to answer this, because this is not the priority, and system is not ready for this. Even the public is not ready for this, because public don't know it. So if the government is trying to infusing these things, then there will be going to again very big loop of problems and everything. And the things which require the immediate attention, then it will be sidelined. So I think that's why the government is not adopting these kind of things here.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. So I have one. I can see something in chat, but like suggest some common tools for day-to-day use for the data privacy. So biggest tool is you. You should be vigilant. Means the thing, whatever tool is there, tool is based on some
Hello.
apps or whatever this thing is there. So you can have VPN,
Ma'am.
and a lot of things are there. Just just don't visit the website which are look suspicious, because you have the firewalls you have in the Chrome or Mozilla or everywhere. You have because it just shows the data that this website is not secure. So please don't visit that website. Don't share your data with anyone. Don't share your username password. Don't just give your information to anyone. So that's all. Ultimately, the biggest tool is you. So just think about yourself, that is it safe to share your data with that person or not. So that's fine. Don't just share data with anyone unknown. That's all what you need. So I hope, Miss, I have answered correctly, because there is no tool which can secure you perfectly. Fine.
Sure,
So it
sure.
should be your individual.
Sure, Dr. Charan. Sure, sure. You are absolutely right. So, anyone else would like to ask any question? Okay, so we sum up here. Thank you, Dr. Chetan, for sharing this insightful presentation, and we hope that you will extend your services in future also, as and when we'll require from USA or from India, wherever you are. We'll always remain in touch. And thank you, everyone, all the audience, for your patience listening and being active and engaging in the question answer session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, all the audience and the coordinators and Kamlesh sir and all the civil department CE for inviting me and have the two sessions. And I really enjoyed it. And I also enjoyed a lot from the audience. And they, in the nighttime, even they might have a lot of work at the home and everything, but they
Right, right.
engaged and they listened to me. And I really appreciate your passion to learn these kind of things and engaging in the session. So thank you so much.
And definitely for all the female faculty members to be in the session along with the all the routine household tasks, cooking food and all these things, and it's really heads up to all them who
Yeah,
find
definitely.
time for these expert sessions. Just information for all, tomorrow's session will start from 2 p.m. and attendance for students tomorrow will be Google form will be circulated tomorrow for both the sessions. So please don't worry about the attendance and be ready at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you, Chetan sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, all of you. Thank you.
Right.